attorneys, board members, and our CEO and staff, and our union reps to this first PAT board meeting of 2024. This time I'd like to do a roll call, please.
Good morning, yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, Board of Directors. Director Ebister?
Here.
Director Odell? Here. Director Stone? Director Lockett?
Here.
Director Adams? Director Robinson? Here. Director Leggett?
Here.
Director Taylor?
Yeah.
And Chairman Coe.
Here.
Chairman, you have a forum for January 23rd.
Thank you. Next, we'd like to get approval of today's agenda. I'll take it.
Did you take?
Director Ebister?
Don't take. You want, yes.
Director Odell?
Yes.
Director Stone?
Yes.
Director Lockett?
Yes.
Director Adams? Not present for the vote. Director Robinson?
Yes.
Director Leggett?
Yes.
Director Taylor?
Yes.
And Chairman Coe.
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed for today's approval of the board agenda.
Thank you. First, we would like to have a presentation by our union representative, Ms. Donnie Clinton.
Good morning, Chairman Coe, the Board of Directors. Good morning, CAC leadership team. Good morning to our fellow neighboring ATU president, Britt Dunamis. He runs Atlanta Local 732. He presides over Marta, Cobb County, and Gwinnett County. So he came in the sixth. And all of that is in attendance. For those who don't know me, my name is President Danya Swinton. I preside over ATU Local 1324 here at Chatham Area Training. I wanted to introduce myself and my officers for 2024 to 2027. This is Vice President Joaquin Reed, and we have a Financial Secretary, Tracy Dickerson, who is not in attendance today. We served for the last 7 months in the previous president and vice president's term, which was Ms. Courtney Johnson and Mr. Joseph Garrett. We were voted in on December, so this is our new term, and we will preside for the next 3 years. I've asked Beverly to give y'all a copy of our CBA. That is our current CBA that you all can have. The CBA will be changing next year, 2025, and I will make sure you all get copies. The union's leadership is here to work with CAT leadership and our board of directors. Chairman Cody, the union is asking if you will allow the union to give the board a monthly report.
Yes.
Okay. I thank you, and I look forward to all of our partnerships with CAT leadership and the board of directors so we can make CAT a better place. If you have any questions?
I do. I have one question. When the monthly report, can you give me some idea of what will be included in your monthly report? Have you decided that yet?
I haven't decided yet. It wouldn't be like personal in-house things. It would be a broad, something that the board would be in charge to help with. It wouldn't be something like Mr. Massimo or the leadership can handle. It would be on the board's level. But I'm researching with the lawyers so that we can have the right information on what exactly is the boundaries to give to the board. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, positive journey.
I'm sorry, what did you say your guest was?
That is Britt Dunamis. He runs Marta, Cobb County, and Gwinnett County locals in Atlanta.
Who did this call?
Yeah. myself. Any more questions for me? Okay, and I thank you all for your time today.
Thank you, Ms. Clinton. And it will be to get people who are consent item.
I don't think I want to pull anything from the consent agenda, but I would like to be able to ask clarity on C and E.
And I was thinking to pull C and put it with 5A so that there can be some discussion.
Okay.
We make those changes.
Yes, sir, we can, so we'll be pulling 4C to bring it under individual action items.
As a part of A.
And I'm sorry.
And I just wanted some clarity on E. And I think it may be clear just by asking a question. I think we don't need to cover that.
Can we do that?
Absolutely.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I move to approve the consent agenda, given the changes.
You have a second?
Second.
We can roll call.
Are we going to, for discussion purposes, 4E?
Did you want the question now?
Yeah, I think, yeah. What I was looking, I wanted to make sure, I know what the policy states about the $20,000. My question is this a non-budgeted item? Was it budgeted before?
Ms. Cutter, do you want to address, this was the additional security services that we engaged for that 1 month period of time.
Yes, it was. However, it was an emergency. And it will be paid for the salary savings from the competition vacancies to get that.
And was this between the time when the original contract expired? And it took, and you had to find somebody else to do something?
No, this is in response to, some indecent exposure events that occurred, on the buses, and we wanted to, through the CEO, wanted to have extra protection, on the buses, and the operators feel safe.
So these services were on the buses and not at the ICE? Okay, thank you.
So the security services is gonna be individuals or will it be devices?
It was individuals.
They were individuals, a security provided the service.
So this has already happened.
Yes. It was an emergency.
I don't remember the discussion. And my other point, the other point I was making was, the reason I was asking was, when we do a balanced budget, this doesn't have an impact on, you present us a balanced budget. And so when I see these emergency things, I was just wondering what impact does that actually have on the budget?
Okay, because of the nature of the event and the operator expresses concern about safety, I thought it was a big message. There were savings within the bottom line of that particular division. So we allocated those savings to procure this emergency service. It's not outside of the approved budget. It is within. It's just a movement from one category to another.
Within the security department budget? Okay. That was my only, I just needed clarity there.
One question? All right. Yes.
4D and 4E.
Yes.
I mean, I'll do a roll call.
Yes.
Director Emerson,
Yes.
Director Odell,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett,
Yes.
Director Adams. Director Adams has joined via Zoom. Director Adams, I'll come back to you for that vote. Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
and Director Adams. Not present for the vote, and Chairman Cody,
Yes.
Chairman motion passed.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll be moving into our individual action items. We'd like to get a roll call vote on that.
We got discussion on that, item 8, right?
On A,
Have we come,
Got A and C, 4C and 5A combined.
move to approve the combined
Move.
action item?
Second.
We'll have to vote on them separately, but for purpose of discussion, I think that's why we're fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
We combined A and C.
For purposes of discussion, we did.
Well, we don't have to combine them, we can just add it, because we gotta vote on them separately.
Yeah.
So just drop, so instead of combining, just drop,
Make that
make it
G.
B. No, they go together, make it B and then move everyone over and down,
Okay.
unless you make it, I guess you can make it G, I guess it don't matter. Doesn't matter.
Chairman,
yes.
we can move 4C right above 5A under individual action
All right,
for discussion.
gotcha.
So we moving 4C above 5A. Okay. Now, I guess, Cap, you don't mind, I don't mind going first with 4C. The only question I had about 4C was, I would just want us to elaborate, just for the public awareness about what that actually is. That was my only point, because we're talking about, monies, and I think that an explanation, just a brief explanation for me would satisfy the public concern.
All right.
Okay.
All right, can I answer that question?
Yes, the both 4C and 5A that you will also be discussing after this are for executive recruitment services that we have utilized in the procurement of the executive level individuals that we were working to fill those positions over the past actually year and a half here at CAT. In regards to anything particular about the funding, Ms. Cutter was, of course, actively involved in that process, and so we'll answer any of those questions that you might have.
Dr. Robinson, in order to respond to the appropriate, could you restate your question?
Yeah, 4C says authorization to submit an additional payment to Harris, the executive recruitment services in the amount of $13,000 or around $14,000 for the CAO salary percentage. So when we say that, are we saying that we've already paid them for what they've done? Now, this is an additional amount based on what? What was the end result of this
Okay,
13,000?
when the original action came before the board, it came before the board for a designated amount, 22,000 some odd dollars. The contractual agreement was for a minimum of 22, whatever was on the action item report.
That wasn't 32.5?
No.
Okay, that was
It was 22, and I don't have it in front of me, a little over $22,000, or a minimum of $22,000, or 22.95% of the salary. The salary was higher than originally projected, which meant the cost of the recruitment. So this invoice is for the final cost of recruitment based on the 22.95%
Of the total,
of the total
annual salary.
Yes.
So the agreed, the contract amount was over 22,000.
Yes, the contract, the agreement that was approved stated a minimum of 22,000, I believe it was 750, something like that. Which meant it could have been higher. It was driven by the salary that the individual came in on, which was 22.95%, which made it higher than the 22,750, whatever that number was that came before the board. So we have to come back to be perfectly transparent prior to paying that additional amount to get approval from the board to ratify that additional.
So can I ask this question? So when we do when the board approves these contracts, and we you know, we have the right to take the lowest bid or the one that best meet our needs. But when you come back like this, even if you take the lowest bid versus someone else that bid it, it almost like to me equals it out. Like our bidding process is just not concrete. When you say minimum of, and somebody come in at that minimum level, but then the salary goes up, that might put them above somebody else who we could have hired, we could have used at a lesser price. You know, I'm just looking at the math.
Well, during the procurement process, all of that was taken into consideration. And if I recall correctly, all of the quotes received had a similar clause, because it's really driven by whether or not you hire someone with 20 years experience versus someone with 2 years experience. And you're gonna pay more for that experienced person if you're fortunate enough to bring them on than someone with a minimal amount of experience.
So would the approach be from a human resource perspective that you'd have a range, a lower range, and the most that we're willing to pay? Because somebody just can't come and tell us, I'll take, you know. So I'm thinking in the procurement process, we know we're gonna get 22% of the salary, and we kind of factor that in if we get somebody at the higher rate, so we'll know we're actually comparing apples to apples. That would be my own suggestion.
Yeah, and that is correct, Dr. Robinson, in the range, what we budgeted for that position was kind of at the lower, and I shouldn't say lower end because it was the recommended range by a consultant that we had to come in to do a compensation study. So that was really the guiding point. So it was budgeted at that amount, kind of middle way. And of course, I know the board remembers the difficulty with recruitment right after COVID, people not wanting to relocate, and really wanting a good fit for Chatham area transit. And after over a year, we began to get some good applicants, interviewed by the CEO and HR representative. I sat in on some. And the salaries were offered, negotiated, and received. And as a result, that 22.9% was more than what was originally at the original estimate at the board. So we're coming back, asking the board to ratify that here.
But through recruitment and salary, there is a salary cap as high as we're gonna go.
Yes.
Right. My thinking is that, you know, one way to do this is to think about the 22% at the highest rate. If you had to add that into what they're quoting on, that's pretty much what I have for C. I do have some more for 5A.
I think part of the thing is that we never approved the CEO to hire a recruiter. We have had any other position, except when the board hired a recruiter to find the CEO. So this is a new support process that we put together to help this new administration. So I think that's why we're gonna have questions and things about it, but, we never used it.
And that, Chairman, and that was my concern about 5A had to do with, I understand this, I know we had a contract for the CAO and the COO, but I don't recall the board, those staffing us a contract for the planning person. I don't remember that at all, unless I missed that conversation.
That was my question.
Now, that's totally different from the CAO because nothing was never brought, the agreement was never brought to the board for approval for that position.
But we approved 2 positions. What were the 2 positions?
CAO and COO.
That's what I said.
Chief Operating Officer and Chief Administrative Officer.
Right.
So when did we add Chief Planning Infrastructure Development Officer?
The Chief Planning and Infrastructure Officer was a part of the budget. That the intent was to hire through the HR department only, to do the recruiting.
You're right.
Through the HR department only, but that wasn't working. That is a highly technical field per se, planning, a specialized field, and we just weren't getting the applicants that were needed to fill that position and meet the expectation, essential functions of the job. And it was taking so long to find a CAO. The CEO decided to go ahead once the recruiter found someone, and there were several applicants for that position, that we would utilize that firm to help us to fill that position. Mr. Massio was in as the chief planning person. The grants process was really suffering, and it's just a key position that we need to fill. It had been vacant like 2 years.
Yeah, but that part I'm clear on, but I'm thinking about what policy did we have in place that would allow us, the board, not to be aware of a recruiter doing the job of, because when I look at when I look back at the snapshots, it was about what you guys were doing, and we're moving along and everything's going well, but then this comes up on an agenda item as paying for a consultant to do what this board, at least this board rep was thinking was being done in-house.
Yeah.
And so, and seeing this now, kind of, I'm not clear on what happened. I hear what you say, I understand what you say, but I think to me, I'm not sure if there's a policy violation in going that route without coming through the board is really what I'm asking.
I don't think it had a policy, because we never allowed a CEO to hire a recruitment firm. Because Curtis asked all the time, we just never approved it. I don't think there is a policy. Is there a policy?
No, not regarding. So it's like any other service that we would procure. We get quotes.
Right, I was thinking about if nothing else, about procurement, yeah.
About what triggers going to hire a recruitment person, a recruitment agency, versus doing in-house recruitment. We never let him. He asked.
Yeah, because it's like the job has already been done because we got the person here. So this person, so we're actually being asked to approve paying for something that's already been done that we were not aware of.
Well, we should have a policy and get something that triggers what level of unsuccess would trigger the request for an executive recruit. That should be a policy.
And I want to say, it was obviously an oversight. Because I think every administrative staff in this room knows that agreements are to be approved by the board. Somehow this just slipped through the cracks. And this is for transparency purposes and to make sure the board understands what happened, what the cost is, and to provide answers to any questions that the board may have.
I do want to describe what happened during this period of time because I think it is important because this is a good discussion and this did get, there was something that was missed here and I think you're certainly pointing that out. So we had 2 active recruitments going that you were aware of and that you had authorized.
Right.
The CAO recruitment was particularly difficult for some reason. And we had been recruiting and we had a candidate that was actually at a different transit system that we were very excited about and ended up, it just became a very difficult process because they accepted, then unaccepted, then accepted again. And so during that process, and it was going on forever, and you remember how down-staffed we were at the chief's level. We had a very few group, a small group of us doing the work of twice as many. And so, and this is certainly no excuse, but an explanation of what occurred. So the recruiter said, I'm actually having a lot of success in other systems recruiting for planning right now. I've got a lot of planning candidates. Do you want to put a pause on the CAO recruitment for right now? Maybe in the spring, we will have better success because people look at moving around school cycles and all that sort of thing. And we did exactly that. What we failed to do was to come back and seek that third authorization because then there was success in the planning space that sort of caught up to where we were in the CAO space. So they were at that time sort of letting us swap out one for the other. And then an oversight, certainly not an intentional one at all, but an oversight in our quest to get those positions filled and really be fully staffed to get our job done here. The third one was in there as well. So, but that is the sequencing of what occurred there that resulted in this oversight.
Yes, sir.
I would like to speak on what has been done, which, we can't do anything about at this point, but going forward, I would ask that we would.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, just spoke with our attorney, Andrew, on that, and he is gonna look into drawing us up a policy on this, so we as a board can take a look at it moving forward.
Because I just don't want anybody to get that comfortable with us, that they can come to us, we'll give them money without going through the proper procedure, because some people take it anyway. But I appreciate the fact that we're being transparent and we're going to create something that this won't happen again.
Yeah, that's why I said we look forward.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lockett. We're going to a vote. Yes. We have a first and a second. Yes.
For item 4C under individual action.
Yes.
You want it to be restated?
Well, the motion.
Yeah, we motion to move it, but now we got a motion to accept it.
Who did make that motion? Did I? I move to approve item 4C, authorize payment to Harris Rand Lust for executive recruitment services in the amount of $13,742.50.
Yeah, can you take roll, please? Second. Stone. Yes.
I do a roll call vote.
Yes.
Director Amster,
Yep.
Director Odell? Yes. Director Stone? Yes. Director Lockett?
Yes.
Director Adams?
Yes.
Director Robinson?
Yes.
Director Leggett? Yes. Your volume is low, Director Leggett. Director Taylor
Yes.
and Chairman Cody.
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed.
Thank you.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to authorize payment to Harris Rand Lusk for executive recruitment services in the amount of $35,221.25 for Chief Planning, Infrastructure, and Development Officer.
All right. Second. Devin, can you do a roll call, please?
Okay, roll call vote. Thank you. We have a motion by Director Anderson, seconded by Director Stone and Director Taylor. After the roll call vote, Director Anderson,
Yes.
Director Dale,
Yes.
Director Stone, Director Lockett,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett. Director Leggett. Now present for the vote, Director Taylor
Yes.
and Chairman Cody.
Yes.
Chairman, motion
Thank you.
for approval of item 5A.
Now we have, next we have, B, authorization to release an invitation for bid for the procurement and manufacture of a new hybrid vessel.
I move to approve.
We have a second. Do we have any discussion?
Of the what? Vessel.
B,
B,
Which vessel?
Our new
number
ferry.
3.
number 3.
Another ferry,
Yes,
a third.
yes, ma'am.
Is there a second?
Discussion? Huh?
I got,
Yes, Dr. Robinson?
you got a second for discussion, right? No. Okay, I got a question,
Yes.
and this is about these acronyms. The IFP and the R, what is the R, response,
RFP is request for proposal.
and the IF is the invitation for bid. What's the difference?
A bid is a hard number, you're gonna take whatever, a bid is a solid.
Microphone.
Thank you. A bid is when you're bidding for an item and it's a number. It just is the number. A request for proposals is usually for professional services or things where there's going to be a negotiation and you're looking at more things like either engineering or architectural services or something that has a flexibility in how you negotiate what the end price will be.
So we'll see these things interchangeably that we're voting on sometimes. We may vote on the RFP and sometimes we may vote on the IFB.
They'll be different when you vote on them. They won't be used interchangeably within the same item, but yes, there'll be items that'll be brought to you that are proposal items and items that are brought to you that are bid items, depending on what the procurement is intended to accomplish.
I feel like bids are big, usually, right?
They can be, but
Okay.
they're a number. They're a
Yeah.
hard bid. You award that and they've bidded at that number and that's the
So
number.
there's no changes in that.
Unless there is a change order and that would always be brought to you for approval.
But in the RFP, you can change it.
Not once it's negotiated.
Right, in an RFP situation, which is done for much more subjective type services that you're procuring, the goal in evaluating an RFP is to choose the competitor who is best suited to do the work.
Mhm.
So you're evaluating a lot more factors like professional qualifications, background, proposed approach to the project.
Absolutely.
Once you select the most qualified firm, then you negotiate price.
Mhm.
And so RFPs are for much more complicated procurements. Not that a multi-million-dollar ferry is not complicated, but the idea is that the different shipyards around the country that would bid on it can actually put in a hard number proposal, and that's why it's an invitation for bids. There really isn't a lot of room because we're providing specifications
Mhm.
when we solicit it, and our specifications, they're supposed to build it to those specifications. So there's no need for a lot of subjective evaluation of the different proposals. The number is the most important thing in an IFP. The number is just another consideration in an RFP. You want to, you need to evaluate the proposed approach, the qualifications and so forth in an RFP, and we do bring those to you for different types of services.
Absolutely.
So having said that, my question would be, so if we're letting out an IFP for a third ferry, we've already had a person doing 2 of our ferries.
Yes, ma'am.
So is that person, I guess what I'm a little bit confused on, so let's say if the IFB comes out and there's another person that's different from our 2 people, then we're gonna go with them?
We could, absolutely. You're always going to go with lowest bidder because that's what the federal regulations require. However, remember, we're letting out the same set of specs.
Right.
So whether company A builds it or company B builds it, they're building the same thing because it's just who's building it for the best price.
I spoke with Mary about this, and a couple of things that I thought were interesting on it is it's the exact same ferry that we've built.
Right.
It's very likely that the company building the ones we're building that's building the 2 of them right now will very likely bid on this, but that, they're a private company, we can't tell them what to do. It is the same specs, so kind of doesn't matter, but maybe we'd get a good price from the one we've already got building 2 of them. We need another one because we're switching them all out, and I wouldn't say that if we don't, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but if we don't spend this money, we're not going to lose it, but this is money that's been allocated to us a long time ago, and we need to get busy spending this money.
Well, these funds are specifically allocated for ferry use only.
Yeah, the money part, I wasn't, right.
We do.
Yeah.
And then, real quick, so if I add the 3 million and the 1.8 million and the 1.2 million, that's $4 million. So that's our upper limit, or if bids come in,
Well, no, it's
that's around
1.8, 1.2 would be 3, and then another 3 is 6.
Wow, I'm sucking at math today. Okay, so we got $6 million. Wow.
That was a very respectful correction, sir.
But I'm hoping that
Right.
if the existing builder does not get this third ferry, that we, that based on the scope of what we want,
Yes, ma'am.
because I don't think, I've not seen any, I guess, and this could be for later conversation, but I asked at our committee meeting, is how we doing with these?
I sent a report out to you all.
I didn't understand. I read it, but I wasn't clear on, my question is simply, are they progressing at the rate that we think they should be progressing? Are they giving us the quality that we're looking for,
Yes, ma'am.
how are they doing?
Yes, ma'am. No, we are very pleased with the progress. We went up midpoint in November. And I appreciate you asking that question so that everybody can hear this report. I know you're always mindful of that, Dr. Robinson. We went up in November. We have had independent verification occurring. We have engineering services on call that are available, that if we need for someone to go there and look at something that they're doing and make sure that everything, the quantities are correct, the specifications are still being adhered to and so forth. But this is a company that has been in business literally for decades and decades and decades. They have a premier reputation in the industry. And I think that was impressed upon us when we went up there to see it in person. And they took so much time in walking us through everything. We literally were seeing and touching things. We were asking questions. You may remember there was a supply issue with a particular part. And so one of the things that we negotiated as a part of the value add to that is that they're now delivering both ferries. They'll deliver both to us at the same time. We should get them both this fall. But the fact that every single week we get that report, and every single week we get pictures, and I will pick up the phone and talk to Mike when there's a question that comes up about something. John is coordinating with him, our Marine Services Manager, regularly as well. So I think we're very pleased with the progress, very pleased with the quality, very pleased with their problem-solving abilities around some of the things that have occurred, like supply chain matters and so forth. So, and we do have 3 ferries that are at the end of their useful life. And so the notion of getting the third, while we hopefully can still get as competitive, which is, I think, your point with what happens if it's more than 6 million, then we have to go secure additional funds from a partner or somewhere. But nonetheless, we still feel like right now we're in that good window of those prices, those bids we got before. We should still be able to hit right around that mark, which puts us within our budget nicely.
Fall of 2024.
Fall of 2024 is when we'll receive the first two. And then if this one goes out, we should be able to receive this one next year. So we would have the three that are in such interesting condition. We'll be able to have all three of those replaced.
What you said, they were well vetted, those companies
The Director is considered one of the premier shipbuilders in the country. And I will tell you from having visited them in person, that was an impressive business operation. Our project manager, his engineering background and his federal marine services regulatory background, he stays on top of everything. And like I said, is so responsive when we have comments, questions, anything like that. So I think we're going to be very pleased. We also took one of our community partner organizations up there with us to see those things. GDOT is helping fund these, the states help fund these, the Savannah Convention Center put funding in, $1.5 million in, and so forth, and they were equally impressed. So,
How much did the last ones cost?
5.6.
So this would be inflation and blah, 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 but we should be pretty close.
We should be pretty close.
Cool. Very cool.
I think one was 5.6 and the other was a little bit different, but roughly that range.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Thank you for the questions.
Thank you. Yes. All right, we're gonna do a roll call vote. Thank you.
Item 5B has been motioned by Director Emerson and seconded by Director Stone. Director Emerson?
Yes.
Director Odell?
Yes.
Director Stone? Yes. Director Lofton?
Yes.
Director Adams? Director Adams? Not present for the vote. Director Robinson?
You're on B, right?
Yes, thank you. Director Leggett?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
And Chairman Cox?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. Next, we'll be moving to C. We want authorization to release an invitation for bid procurement.
Chairman, I move to approve authorization to release an IFB for painting Joe Murray Rivers Intermodal Transit Center.
No.
Procurement,
Go to C.
renovation. C.
The renovation, sorry, for Joe Murray Intermodal Transit Center. I wouldn't approve
Do
the
we have-
painting of that building.
Do we have
It's much better
discussion?
with
Yes,
the brick.
Dr. Robinson.
Now, and I brought this up before, and when I looked at the plans that was done by the architect for the renovation of Joe Murray Rivers, I have two questions and my ongoing concern. And the other thing is that have we completed negotiation with Greyhound? Is that a done deal?
We are close.
So, but this renovation is gonna affect the space that's currently being used by Greyhound.
Yes, ma'am, and we are in close coordination with them on that, and they also, as a part of the negotiation on the lease, they have a tenant allowance that is granted to them for their own renovations as well, so we are supporting them in that, but we're working together on how to make the building work for both of us.
So based on the architectural work that was done, we are taking spaces away from Greyhound.
They desired less space. They
So-
purposefully negotiated less space.
Part of the negotiation is, so they're aware of the less space.
No, they asked for less
Right,
space.
but I'm saying they're aware of,
Oh, yes, ma'am.
so they know what the less space is gonna look like.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that answered one of my questions. My other concern is when I looked at the design, I wasn't sure about what kind of amenities we're providing for our customers. Because it looks like when we take up the space, that we won't have any space for our customers to come in out of the rain, the snow, and the cold.
Oh, no, ma'am, they will still be able to, our customers will still have access to an area where they will be able to have access to the restrooms that are inside and so forth.
Yeah, but will they have a place to sit?
I don't recall.
I couldn't, I was trying to figure that out from architect design.
It doesn't look like it.
It does, and it's always my concern about what we're giving our customers, what we're taking away. And I'll say this, and I want to go on public record. If we do the expansion to give us a larger space to meet as a board, I'd give that space up, so our customers can have a place to sit. Because I mean, we can choose a space to go. You know, there's other boardrooms. I do not want this renovation to have a negative impact on what we provide to our customers. Because these folk are hardworking people
You don't have any other choice but travel by bus.
by bus, and
You
to
don't
have
have
these,
area for children in there, you don't have.
right, I mean, the bathroom should have changing stations, there should be more amenities in that new space that would accommodate the needs of our customers.
With plenty of security, so nobody takes.
Absolutely.
I just want to go on record that I've said that, and I would give up a space for a boardroom if that means we give these people more space.
Can I check on that and follow back up?
Please, please,
Yeah.
please.
We'll make sure that's addressed.
Do you have
So
any?
can we table it, vote on it next time, or what do we need to do?
Ms. Cutter, can you remind us on the grant side of this, Mary or
Well,
Ms.
this is
Cutter?
just a report for a bid, so we
No.
still have time.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
was talking about the funding, though. This was one where we had an older grant that was supporting this. I just want to make sure about the funds that are attached to it. I think 1 month wouldn't matter, but I just want to confirm.
I don't.
Okay, so that would give, okay, so if you find out that it doesn't accommodate the customer, how long will it take them to do something so that it's ready for us to vote on it by the next time? I don't wanna be the reason that we have to become a jeopardy with the grant,
Sure.
but I'm with Director Robinson. I'll give up my once a month spot to make it more accommodating.
I don't think we have to give up the once-a-month spot, but I think we can accommodate both uses in an integrated fashion. So what we'll do is we'll get back with our architect, our designer, and make sure that this is addressed, and we'll circulate it before the next meeting, and you would vote on it then, and it'll be clear that it addresses the comments that we're receiving. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that what would be helpful is whatever's currently in place, then to show us, you know, what the changes are, that'll make sure these things happen.
Make sure it's noted so it's easy to read.
Yes.
Sometimes those seats are.
So we're gonna table this.
There's a thing in it, so the child can't lay in the lap. And I know that's there so that homeless people can't lay there, but it's really.
Why don't we just motion to table and not take?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to table until the next month's meeting.
I say,
I mean, I would, it just feels like
They should hold it up.
it shouldn't hold it up, but also, I'd like some more information about just sort of like the overall layout. I mean, I've heard like, you know,
no, they
orally.
sent us that, they sent us that.
Yeah, but I'd like somebody to kind of walk me
Right.
through, like, why was this, you know, why is this wall here? Why is that toilet there? You know, stuff like that.
Would it be helpful to the board if at the next meeting or the next set of committee meetings, if we make sure that we actually do a presentation on that and walk through it and have Pond walk through it with you? Because they're the architect.
They done a 3D rendering,
I don't know if they have a 3D.
animated.
I don't think, and I don't know that we would that would be kind of expensive, but I'll ask and see how available that might already be. But I think we can have Pond walk everyone through at the next month's committee meetings.
Because sometimes when they do the diagram,
Mhm.
they have like a little, it's not like a presentation rendering,
No, I know,
but it's what they use to look at.
right.
So maybe that might help with, if they have.
We'll plan on this one to bring that back to you. And just because there was a question about Greyhound, we have had very close coordination with Greyhound. One of the things that Greyhound is not, they know they requested less area, they requested one less bay. We gave them a tenant allowance, and we negotiated a new rental rate, but they're really, we've had, and Ms. Cutter, I know because I know she's been on several of the calls, they really are still trying to figure themselves out what they want to do down there. And they also are bringing in an affiliate called FlixBus that works with them as well. And so those are the things that we've been focused on, operations things, and they haven't shared as much about what they're going to do with their tenant allowance within their space. And I don't think that they're finalized on that, but to the extent that we can also get some more information from them prior to the next meeting, we're glad to do that as well.
Yeah, and that discussion of whoever we bring in, we do it through committee or not, I just don't want to lose sight of what it is that we're looking for, and that's better amenities for our customers.
And we'll try to be sure that we send that, whatever we can get from Pond, whatever we get from Pond revisions and everything, we'll send that out to everybody prior to committee meetings. So you've got plenty of time to look at it over the next month before it comes back, okay?
Okay,
All
so
right.
then what do I need to do to my,
Amend
my
your
motion?
motion.
I would make a motion to table until the next month's meeting, and that'll take precedent over the original motion.
Great,
And
all
I
right,
second.
okay, cool.
All right. Thank you. Yes.
Director Emerson,
Yes.
Director Odell,
Yes.
Director Stone, Director Lodge,
Yes.
Director Adams. Now President vote, Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett,
Yes.
Yes.
thank you, Director Taylor,
Yes.
and Chairman Coe.
Yes.
Chairman Fish.
Thank you.
And Chairman, just for, Director, Adams will be the,
All right. All right, thank you. We'll be moving to D, authorization to release an invitation for bid, IFB, for the procurement and interior renovation for Cat Central offices. Have any discussion? Question.
I make the motion.
Yes.
I second.
Beverly, can we do,
And I want one comment on this one. If you guys are happy, I'm happy. This is your space, and if you guys, I know you guys have talked about it, talked it up. So if you guys are happy, I'm happy.
Beverly, can you do a roll call vote?
Yes, sir. Director Emerson. We're on five.
I know, I just want to, can I make a call, like,
Yeah.
what colors are we painting it? This place? Is it, it's the outside?
Yes, the outside.
Well, this is interior renovation.
Oh, never mind. All right,
Renovation,
yep,
not the paint. You got to
100%.
the paint yet on the paint.
I'm all confused on these. Wait, where are we? C, we've got
D.
that one. D. Then maybe I was super confused earlier.
Painting was somewhere, painting was D up here. On the consent agenda, that was painting.
Oh, crap.
And
All
we
right.
already proved that.
Well,
What's the deal with paint?
I just would like some more color. It's the same price whether you get all the sides. It's the same color to get fuchsia as it is to get beige. A little color always helps. That's all I got to say.
Well,
And-
we need to add that to the one before.
I know. I think, yeah, that's the one I missed. So
Yeah.
my apologies.
So
But if anybody's choosing colors and they want to bring me along,
we want color.
if you, if,
Recommendations. I'm not
Okay.
gonna just.
You
I just
could-
like some color. I'm all good. I'm all good.
I'm for gray, I'm just for gray.
Well, you're wearing such beautiful colors.
Let's remember, this is a professional building, so I don't wanna go.
Colors are professional. The flag has colors.
I mean, 'cause this
Walmart
makes
has
it
colors.
So it should be a little blue. Yeah, a little blue.
You know, just a little pop of color here and there.
Gray is really very yesterday now too.
It is! Finally, somebody on my side. All right, but
Fuchsia might be a stretch.
That's a
yes.
choice.
Beverly, yes. Not really, because I also think design by committee is just death. But just, you know, if there was more color in here, I won't be upset.
Well, I mean, it's scientifically proven that some colors make you more productive.
And it doesn't need to be, you know.
Some colors make you sleepy. You know, some colors make you hungry. So, I mean, it's not a bad recommendation.
But would you put on, well, I'm like Director Stone, if you're talking about the outside the building, you know, we still want to have a professional look now. I mean,
Mhm.
how much
Yeah, well,
color?
I'm not talking about, you know.
Fine, green.
Not crazy,
Yeah,
not crazy.
Look, I am not overly.
I love my
So, but I do try to, you know, put colors in the house so that the kids
Yeah.
don't come out looking like goth children.
And those zombies ain't walking around.
Well, I say yes, that was my vote.
Director Edson, yes. Director Odell?
Yes.
Director Stone?
Yes.
Director Lockett?
Yes.
Director Adams? Now present for the vote. Director Rock?
Yeah.
Director Leggett?
Yes.
Director Taylor?
Yes.
And Chairman Cody?
Yes.
Chairman motion passed.
Thank you.
The approval, item 5B.
Right. Next, we have authorization to enter into a one-year purchasing contract with Clever Devices for Clever Matrix software module, not to exceed $37,740. Director Odell,
Okay,
comment?
so I'm not opposed to the purchase of this device, but I would like to see what is mapped out for the future of maintenance and updates and additions and whatever, because the life of this device, there's gonna be stuff due. I'd like to have all of that by the time we get to the budget meeting, so that it's included and, you know, planned out.
We will have that for you after your request during committees, Director Odell. We did work with the IT staff to start to put together that plan that you had requested and outline to more detail on these modules for the better understanding of the board and so forth. So
Yeah, because I think it's important. You have IT assets, but those IT assets have to be maintained. And there's a cost each year for maintaining those assets. You have to know when you're gonna retire them. You have to know, you know, what you need to upgrade them, what you need to keep them going. And then when you buy something new, the implementation. So does this 37 include the cost it's gonna take to implement it? This is just the software. How much is it gonna include to implement it and train on it?
Very good question, Director Odell. And the longevity and the future costs will be a part of the capital plan for the FY25 budget process.
But we'll have to approve implementation before the
Yes,
budget process.
we do have monies in the FY24 capital plan.
For implementation.
Yes.
but and training comes with it. The way Clever works is the modules, when you purchase the different modules that all work together, the training comes with it as a part of their implementation installation.
A part of implementation as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good to go.
And I've got one, now, during the committee meeting, we talked about the Clever Matrix system upgrade. And we were told that it has to be some kind of phasing in. And now this one is saying a one-year purchase contract with Clever Device. So
But this is the software. The other thing was a part. piece that was needed to integrate.
No, that was before, but in our committee meeting, on our agenda, it said Clever Matrix System upgrade. And now here, on this agenda, which is usually a result of what we do in committee, this is saying authorization to enter into a one-year purchasing contract with Clever Device for Clever Matrix software module. So is that the upgrade we're talking about, or this something different?
No, it is the upgrade that you're talking about. It is a module, it is a piece, and this is the module that's needed for real-time reporting.
To upgrade what you currently have.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we're not gonna get another one of them.
No, but I thought we voted on that.
No, but the upgrades will come, to your point, I think, Director Odell, that once you get into technology, it requires regular upgrades that need to be budgeted for. And this is the upgrade that's needed for now. And the price on this one is for 1 year, but we'll be continuing to evaluate that moving forward.
So what we talked about in the committee was just worded differently for the board. It's a little different, but I want to make sure that they're not two different things.
No, this is the module. This is the software module piece. This is the piece, which is what you were describing.
But
Director Robinson, I think you're bringing up what we voted on a couple months ago,
Right.
which was the disruption module.
for the GDOT project, which we thought was at no cost. But then the Clever Device came in, we voted to allow us to purchase that for
That was transit signal priority.
Right.
That's different than the disruption module. That's, like I said, there's different modules of this. The disruption module is used to support demand changes that come about. We all know that when you live in Savannah, there's road closures, there's
Right.
parades, there's all kinds of things that happen, right? And this would be used for parades, temporary reroutes, whether that's law enforcement, construction, or whatever. And we could make a mid-cycle change to enable, for example, the cat tracker not just go off into the wild.
But you're talking about the disruption
Which is what you were saying, which is,
which
there's
is what
three
we voted
different
on
ones.
last time.
Okay, but this 1 year purchasing contract, what is that? Just tell me what that is.
This is for real time. This is so that the staff here can log onto their phones or their iPads and see in real time how many buses are late, what's the status of the buses.
And it works with
Stuff
Dr.
like that.
Manny's planned bus communication center.
I'll also add that they waived the $10,000 setup fee, which is how this should be this would have been $47,000 if they hadn't waived a $10,000 setup fee.
I got that part, but
Which is cool.
But my question
job.
is, this is a one-time purchase for a year. What happens after the year is up? Because this is a 1 year purchasing contract.
Then we buy it again for the same price.
How do we know that?
Year 1, year 2, year 3, because it's in our contract
Right.
thing with them.
So why is it saying 1 year, not 3 year?
Because I think that's how we buy things here. I'm not really sure.
Miss Stephanie?
Could Dr. Robinson's question is, right now we're paying $37,000 for 1 year. Could we pay 37 times 3 for 3 years all at once?
If you look at the financial impact,
Right.
on this particular item, it talks about, extended costs of $37,740 for years 2 and 3 will be included in the proposed FY25 and 26 budgets of Homework.
So I got you. So this is the covers now, but when we do our budget for 2025, we'll have this as a line item when we balance our budget. I got you. Yeah, because when it said 3 years, I got it now.
I also would like to add that in conversations I had with Mary and our committee, this very likely will not be the last module that we see from Clever Metrics. I don't know why they added an E.
Yep.
And it's my goal to get to the point where we have like very high quality real-time data that users can see on a variety of apps. And I do think that based on conversations I've had with the staff here, that we need a couple more modules. And Clever Devices is in the business of being in business. So they're not just going to give this stuff away for free. They sort of get you. and then they're gonna sell you some things.
So
And I'm very pro buying things from Clever. It's $35 per bus per month. That's a deal.
So we'll never bid this out to anybody else again.
No, we have to bid it out.
If that's right. But see, he's thinking he's just locked in.
Well, not that we're locked in, but like I'd be happy to see this organization invest in more technology that helps our end users and our riders use the system
Right,
better,
right.
especially young people. I've been reading all these articles about how young people have way less cars than any generation.
Yep.
So that's great. Let's get them with a cool app.
I had a question. I heard a question earlier about training. Was it any extra fees for that? I see training is included in this.
Training should be, that's the way they have been deploying their, the work or the modules that we purchase is the training cost.
Mhm.
They come and help us with installation, with making sure everybody knows how to use it, making sure Mark knows how to use it, and then Mark also will train others.
Gotcha. Do you have any more questions, comments?
No, we should. We totally should.
We have a first, do we have a motion on this? On the floor?
I make a motion to authorize the enter into a one-year purchase contract with Budget Devices, Clever Matrix software module, not to, or a Clever Matrix software module not to exceed $37,740.
Beverly, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Director Evans.
Yes.
Director Odell,
Yes.
Director Stone, Director Lockett. Now present for the vote. Director Adams. Now present for the vote. Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Wiggins,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
and Chairman Cody.
Yes.
Chairman motion
Thank you, ma'am.
for item 5.
Next, F, we'd like to go into our authorization to approve, implement for the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan, revision for 2024. Do you have any questions or comments?
I just want to make one point, that I'll vote for this, but it's going to be under, for lack of a better word, a blind trust,
Mm-hmm.
because I've not seen the provisions for this plan. I've seen the whole plan. I don't know what was revised, and I said that in the committee meeting, that when we get something that's been revised, we have red lines. So I just have to trust that, that it's a good plan and the revisions were necessary. But I'm not comfortable with voting for this when I don't know what the revisions were.
Do we need some time on this?
Director, it's my understanding that the red line tourism. I remember you saying that, subcommittee meeting, my understanding was that they were sent out.
Produced after, so when board packets went out, that's when the red line version.
Yeah.
was distributed, but later.
And that's the other issue I have too, is that we're not receiving these things in a timely manner like we were promised. And we're forced to read a whole lot of stuff, and then we gotta wait on corrections. And I'm just getting uncomfortable with voting on things that I don't have all the information that I need.
What does our time restraint look like on F? As far as how long do we have to make a decision on this? Or is it?
Mr. Sanders, you may want to comment on that, but as I recall, there's a state requirement.
This one was actually due December.
Right,
God has extended us a grace,
right.
and with all due respect, we need to get this one moving forward. Now, Dr. Burton, for your previous comment, now that I'm aware of that, you all would like to see the red line comments in the future, whenever this type documents written, revised, I will instruct staff and I will take personal responsibility also for making sure that red line comments also get sent out. But in this particular case, GDOT is kind of breathing on our necks, Chairman.
Yes.
We really need and we appreciate your indulgence to let this one go.
All right.
Mr. Sanders, a question to you. Are you comfortable with, you're new to us, are you comfortable with the safety plan as it's being presented? Are you comfortable with it?
I can say to you, in all sincerity, that
Okay.
The reason why is because the safety and this management manager, he and I actually took several weeks back, we actually took about 2.5 hours. And I went through it with him by page, by session. I made some comments and some punctuation changes myself for clarity. So based on that meeting, I said yes.
We have any more questions or comment? Do we have a motion and a second?
I move to approve the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan revision.
Second.
Thank you. Beverly, can we do a roll call?
Yes.
Thank you for that explanation, Mr. Sandy.
Yes.
Director Odell?
Yes.
Director Stone? Director Lockett?
Yes.
Director Adams? Not present for the vote. Director Robinson?
Director Roberts is going to abstain based on the previous conversation.
Director Leggett?
Yes.
Director Taylor?
Yes.
And Chairman Cox?
Yes.
Chairman, motion passes for the approval of item 5F.
Thank you. Next, we're gonna go into our executive session due to time restraints. And after our executive session, we're going to old new business. We're gonna take a 5-minute break and go into, we're on a motion and a second to go into executive session. And we can take lunch.
You wanna grab lunch?
We can grab lunch.
Yeah, let's do
also.
lunch. Thank God. Executive session is better with lunch. I move to
Go into executive
move
session.
into, yeah, executive session.
Chairman, we have a motion on the floor, a motion by Director Emerson, second by Director Stone, to go into closed session with a recess of 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Andrew, you got that? 10 minutes is good for you?
Do we vote?
Thank you.
And
We need a vote.
the
Yes.
reason for it, we wanna,
Director Emerson?
Yes.
Director Odell? Yes. Director Stone? Yes. Director Lockett?
a lot of spaces.
Director Adams?
That's a lot of people.
And I got even more, so.
Not present for the vote. Director Robinson?
Yes.
Director Leggett?
Yes.
Director Taylor?
yes,
And Chairman Cox?
yes, thank you.
For the purposes.
You're gonna eat, aren't you?
My aunt Josephine, my mama's sister, she died. Well, he takes,
Oh,
I take her, and I told her, I work, and I think it's the 6th and the 7th, that Tuesday and Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I told her I work that, but I can't work that week, I got, you know.
Oh, okay. No, I ain't doing it. I was just, I gotta be off on the 5th and the 6th.
This way.
That's.
And you can sit tight, he's not here.
yeah, I don't
He's
see
on the
you.
phone.
But I appreciate it. Hi,
Hey, how you doing?
Suzanne Kirk.
All right,
How are
thank
you?
you.
Suzanne's gonna make a short presentation.
And now. Now. No.
Why is that the reason for that?
No, I mean, it takes a team
Now,
to
she
make
did
it last
say,
that
she
long.
did say 3 o'clock now. They had it from 11 to 3.
Ready?
On something I read.
You're ready.
Yeah, you might be right.
No vote, yeah.
It takes a team to make it last that long. Wow, that's us
We back?
10 seconds ago.
On something I read. What's all that?
That's us 10 seconds ago.
Oh.
About 10, 12 seconds.
We ready? All right. Thank you, and I welcome everyone back. We just getting back from executive session. There were no votes or actions taking place. At this time, we'd like to go into old and new business. First item, we want to take a motion in a second for a resolution to enter into a settlement agreement with A1 Uniform regarding a purchasing matter.
So moved.
Second.
Beverly, can we have a roll vote, please?
And Chairman, for that motion, just to point out, not to exceed $37,963.36. So can we have a motion made by Director Robinson and seconded by Director Stone?
Yes.
Roll call vote. Director Emerson,
Yes.
Director Odell,
Yes.
Director Stone, Director Lockett,
Yes.
Director Adams. Not present for the vote, Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett. Not present for the vote. Director Taylor,
Yes.
Chairman Coler.
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed for item 7A.
Thank you, Beverly. Next, we would like to take a motion in a second to have a resolution to enter into a settlement agreement regarding a personnel matter.
So moved.
Have a second. Beverly, please.
I would characterize the motion as a motion to enter into a severance agreement with Deion Adams.
Thank you.
We have a motion made by Director Stone and seconded by Director Odell.
And I accept Lorraine as vice mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Emerson,
Yes.
Director Odell,
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett,
Yes.
Director Adams. Not present for the vote, Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett. Not present for the vote, Director Taylor,
Yes.
and Chairman Coler.
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed for item 7B.
Thank you. Last, we'd like to take a resolution to enter into a settlement agreement with Access Insurance regarding property asset matter. What is our amount?
The amount is a payment to CAD of $450,000 to settle an insurance coverage matter.
Have a second? We need a second on the
Somebody second.
I'll second.
settlement agreement.
Thank you.
Thank
Roll call vote, Mr. Chairman.
you. Yes.
Director Emerson,
Yes.
Director Odell, Director Odell,
Director
Tabitha.
Odell?
Yes.
Director Stone,
Yes.
Director Lockett,
Yes.
Director Adams. Not present for the vote, Director Robinson,
Yes.
Director Leggett. Not present for the vote, Director Taylor,
Yes.
and Chairman Coler.
Yes.
Chairman, motion passed for the approval of item 7C.
Thank you. All right, next we'll be moving into our executive director's report. Getting our unit updates. I'd like to bring on our CEO, Ms. Faye DeMassimo.
I don't remember.
There we go. Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate it. Of course, next week is Savannah Chatham Day at the legislature. In your snapshot at the end of this week, you will have an attachment. We were notified today that the entire delegation had signed on to a amendment to the FY24 budget for the $780,000 request that we had made related to electric charging vehicles and infrastructure. So we're excited about that. I'll be circulating that to you on Friday with Snapshot. And of course, we look forward to next week. We also are very excited that GDOT board member Ann Purcell will be Kat's guest at Savannah Chatham Day. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to our comms team to talk about to offer the communications report.
The Savannah Chatham Day, when is that?
It's on Wednesday, 5 o'clock and Beverly has the tickets. It's Wednesday, 5 o'clock at the Freight Depot, just like always. And like I said, Ms. Dumas has the tickets that we requested. We are going to be up, one other thing I should mention before comms starts is we will be working with our government affairs representation most of the week next week in Atlanta. In addition to Savannah Chatham Day, there are a number of key sessions, committee meetings and such next week that are related to the asks that we have in, and I'll be present because there's nothing like the appreciation of having the requester right there with you, and making sure that Kat's presence is really fully heard and known. So we're excited to be doing that next week in addition to Savannah Chatham Day.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Cody, Board of Directors, staff, and the public at large. I won't be before you long, so we're going to get started with some of our special moments in the month of November and December. Last month we had guests at Chatham Area Transit. U.S. Secretary of Transportation, Secretary Pete Buttigieg joined us for a thought-provoking roundtable discussion. We had our PAT team, community leaders, our AT 1324 leadership here to talk about how we can all work together to move transit forward. We were so excited to have this here, right here in this multi-purpose room last month. Wanted to do a quick social media check-in. All of our social media pages received some growth. Most noticeably, our Facebook received 61 new followers, and our LinkedIn page received 56 new followers.
Really, just really quickly, I wanted to mention related to that, I think it's exciting, is that yesterday, if you happened to catch us on social media yesterday, the new regional workforce development team that has been formed by CETA and is going to be looking at that all-important economic mobility. How do we connect people to all of the new jobs and opportunity that is being created across the region? They joined us yesterday, did a tour of CAT, and had a presentation on all that we have underway right now, and I think it was an exciting partnership opportunity and wanted to mention that.
Our January recap of CATCAS in November, we hosted a special events, film and tourism. Some of you may know for the city of Savannah, some of you may know they recently did a study about their nightlife and how transportation and how the community was their opinions and how they would like to see transportation were involved. So our CEO, Ms. Massimo, spoke with him during the November CATCAS, and then we did a holiday special for December, which I'm pretty sure all of our staff enjoyed, telling Santa Claus what we would like to see for next year. So make sure to listen out, listen to those. We're also working on our February CATCAS with some paratransit riders and how we could improve access to them. CAT in the news for November and December, Chatham Area Transit was mentioned in 116 newscasts between media outlets. We expect for that number to increase for this month in January. Hopefully you guys have seen the coverage of our Zero Fare Student Pilot Program that starts January 29th, next Monday. So we've been getting some really good coverage on that. Do you have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, how are you?
Thank you very much. Our next report is a service delivery update from COO, Dr. Manny.
I would say first, Happy New Year to all of you, Chairman Cody, all the board of directors, my staff, and the public. Happy New Year. This is a promising year for CAD. We position ourselves to nothing but success. I'm gonna share a few stuff with you guys. I have some good news and bad news. I have done the research to find out that our on-time performance report is inaccurate. Since I've been here, it has never passed 75. The KPI that the board set is 90%. Initially, it was reported 70%, which is inaccurate. And we're going to do all the KPIs today for the first time. So next month, the on-time performance is going to be accurate, and the reason is why, because we're going to be using the Clever Public Time Point Report. It's a clever matrix that measures every time a bus gets to a time point. So we're not using that software. That's why I was always curious why was the number always low. So next month report, it'll be accurate because this is a software that we had, and that's what we should have been using for the on-time performance. Now, on this slide, me and Ms. Carter has a joint project. What we do is we always measure ridership per revenue. So we just been working right. When ridership is low, that means our revenue is low. The month of December, ridership was low. The average, which is the board target, 163,547. That is the target that the board has set for us to get to. Month of December, the holiday and tourism, all that was down, so we were at 156,247. And when Mr. Carter gets to it, it will reflect on the revenue to prove that ridership was low. Now I have done something unusual for the first time. This report is very key that nobody has ever looked into it. This is the KPI that the board has set for CAD to measure our performance. It has never been compared to. So moving forward, every month I'm going to report our performance measures by the KPI that is set by the board. Now, all of them have a meaning. Dr. Robinson advised that I run with it. If it's good, it's green. If it's bad, it's red. It's just simple. So anything in green, if you look at efficiency, that means the gross cost per revenue mile. And that is calculated by our expenditure divided by how far did we travel. And so the board set it at $6.85. The month of December, we were at $4.08, which means we're doing good. These are all the stuff that every transit has to be measured on. The board KPI is the key to always report how are we doing every month. So I've taken that on myself to add this to my presentation, and moving forward, we're going to be measuring ourselves to the board and to the public performance. The mean distance between vehicles. The red, of course, means that we didn't meet the board target or the board KPI. I'll pick one up and say the complaints. The complaints, this is questionable because you can have a number of people complaining. What we're not doing here, and I want to be just transparent as I can be. When a complaint comes in, we have to verify, look at our videos and see if that complaint is valid. So anybody can complain the driver did this, and as you watch the videos, you're going to see that most of that it didn't even happen. I drove a bus before, and when you're accused of something, they say, no, I didn't. They put a video, it wasn't even you. So moving forward, I'm working with the customer service at ITC, Ms. Val, to come out with a plan whereby if you call Delta Airline now, they have every division. You want ticketing, you want refund, plane, everything. So our call center is going to adapt that structure. We're going to have all of them cross-trained. We're going to have people skilled for fixed routes. So if you call a bus pass you buy, they transfer the call to Miss A. Miss A knows all the entire system about fixed route. They can give the customer accurate report about what they need. So that's the structure that I'm working on. So most of the valid, this one is reported, the board won less or equal to 10 per 100,000 miles. There were a lot of complaints that came in, and so by that measure, we didn't meet the 10, we had 20. But like I said, most of them were not validated. Wasn't nobody investigated to see if the complaint was valid or not. The mean distance between vehicle failures. That is how long can we run before our value breaks down. The board set it up to 12,000, and if you see that, it's double. And you can see when we get to the other slide with power transit, the new power transit vehicles that came in, the 10 gasoline, they're doing very well. So we do using more, we're running more than electric because of our infrastructure to charge the electric vehicles. Any questions on the KPI? I think this is a new slide I added on. On the power transit side, I predicted this was going to happen, and I think I'm right. Since we got full staff, we have 100% capacity. If you all recall, we have 14 drivers that joined us about a month or two ago. That's all the effect that we're seeing now. So the on-time performance was measured from, for example, 9 o'clock, the vehicle is going to pick you up. We have a window of 15 minutes. That was not factored in. So if I get to you 9:05, I'm within the window, I'm not late. If you pass that 15 minutes, that's what is counted late. And so we went back, revised that, and so now this is why we're seeing that we have fully staffed. We got 20 brand new vehicles. It's getting better. For the first time, we even have extra ball in power transit.
You picked up some new customers too as well.
Yes.
Because you have a regular pickup now, that's 2 houses from you.
Yes.
So I see them, they come pick up, take them out.
So it's
being fully staffed helps.
Yeah, it helps.
Okay.
Fully staffed and also new vehicles. So in the past, it was so sad that somebody be on the power transit room with dialysis and the bus would be down. And before we swap, it's all kind of inconvenient. But now I'm proud to say that power transit is done. We have almost 95% of our fleet all replaced with new ones. And when we get to that, I'll explain that. And can you go back quickly for Director Day to see the KPI real quick? She wasn't here, so this is what I've come up with. This is going to be added to my presentation, every board report.
Okay.
This is to measure us about our own performance. This is the KPI set by the board. We're not measuring ourselves, are we doing right or not? So
Customer service, KPI?
Yes,
Is
so
that
this is
just
all-
for call center or is
Yes.
that bus, is that?
That's the call
bus?
center. So any complaint, let's say a bus passed me by, the driver did this, all that complaint comes in. So what based on the KPIs, what I'm structured is that we're gonna cross-train all the customer service. Like if you call Delta now, there's somebody for ticketing, there's somebody for late flight, there's somebody for refund.
Right.
We're not doing that. So I have structured that. There'll be a training where group of three will be say fixed route to the power transit. When you call in, the call will be directed to the expert.
That's a good idea.
Yes.
That's a great idea.
Yes. And I'm happy about it. So when you call Delta now about ticket refund, we transfer you to somebody that knows about ticket refund.
Right.
It's not just all talk. So this is how we're going to be monitoring ourselves. So everything here on the target is the KPIs that the board has set. What we haven't done in the past is we're not measuring our performance to the KPIs. So,
Now, did you get some kind of new credit card processing machine to buy tickets?
I have recommended that on the new fair, so Jennifer is a company that came out with a new system where you don't even need to buy a pass. You can run on the system, some companies are, the credit card.
Because the credit card machine has been down a couple of times.
Yes,
Because I've gotten people calling about it.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So,
So is that a new machine or you're getting a new
we're trying to get a new machine.
Okay.
Okay, sorry to bring you back. Okay. So paratransit ridership, all this is based on the KPI. Every average is the KPI. This is what the board wants. The board wants every month we have to have 4,548 ridership. The month of December we have 5,222. That means it's good because we have more staff, we have good vehicles, and for the first time, the paratransit is the operation is set up this way that they have a manifest. So if you want service tomorrow, you call today and do reservation. When I got here, if you can all go back to the board report, we have like 700 unassigned, meaning we couldn't help them. This time is 0. Seeing that we got all full staff, so that means everybody that called for booking are being serviced, which is good. Yes. If it's in green, Dr. Robinson, it's good.
Yes.
Okay. Now this one is in red, so it doesn't look good. So the marine is always high, but anytime I have a number that's different or low, I go back historically to see why. And 3 years data shows that the month of December is always slow. Very tourism, people are
This is not a big Christmas.
Yeah,
Right?
yes.
You don't do a lot for Christmas?
Yes.
So they go.
Yes. So that was the only reason, no panic. That was the only reason why the ridership on the marine is down for the month of December. Moving forward, it's always the highest in all our mode of transportation. The maintenance side, I think board member Clinton wanted us to break this down to see what vehicles are we using more. And so this is the breakdown from that little stuff that I put on the side. You can see that fixed route, non-EV means diesel, hybrid, they're not electric. Those, went 25,985 miles. Now remember that the KPI was saying 12,000 or more. That's what the board had set up. So that means we did very good with what we have. It's just costing us more money because we keep buying spare parts and fixing them. So eventually we have to do something that me and Ms. Carter and my team are working on how to republish those old that we have because it takes 3 years to even put a vehicle.
And these are the gas vehicles?
Yeah, so the mean distance is how long before we run, how long can we run before the vehicle breaks down.
Okay.
Yeah, so on the electric side, if you look at non-electric, on this one here, paratransit, non-EV, we went 70,000 miles because we have 10 vehicles that are all gasoline, brand new. So this is showing how far are we going with our vehicles. So, but then if you look at the paratransit vehicles, we barely use them. We can't even charge them.
Now, I didn't know that electric vehicles were free until this weekend.
Yes.
When there was a huge thing about all these frozen Teslas.
Oh, you heard about this? We had the same thing too.
So,
Even here?
Yeah, they called me up early in the morning. One of our so we have Cat Connect, right? So they were putting new equipment on the Cat Connect, which is gasoline. That's for the senior citizen. So then we said we're going to use electric vehicles, which is almost the same size, to train the drivers. They didn't go far. It was so cold, it consumed all the energy. They had to just bring it back.
so what do they recommend in the cold? Because it's going to be colder.
Tesla is coming out. So now, if you all know about this, Tesla is teaming up with Ford to come out with how to solve that. Right. So the battery, when it gets cold, use more energy, to heat up the vehicle and all that stuff. So
Gillick has recommendations for us on that as well.
Okay.
The because both cold, freezing cold and high heat,
And how you, yeah.
both things influence and affect the reliability and so forth of the electric vehicles. And so Gillig, who is our, on our buses, is working with us on what those remedies and practices can be to help, manage
Yeah, because
that.
we live in hell. Of course it's gonna be hot.
No, but we've
Because you
known
run air
that.
conditioning.
I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, we've known that since the beginning of,
I didn't know it drained the battery though.
Yeah,
no,
you
because
got,
you're running the air.
yeah.
It's the air's pulling down, the air conditioning that you're running is pulling the battery down faster.
So
It's not
it
the
won't,
heat itself.
it won't do one of those things where it'll suck, you can't open the door. It doesn't get that hot.
No, but we do have to be mindful of that we're gonna get the mileage that we're gonna get out of them.
Right.
It's gonna be different in different kinds of weather conditions. But Gillig and other providers, it's not just Gillig, but we have Gillig's own fixture, are working with, everyone, Transit Industry is working
Yeah.
to, that's gonna be one of those things like when any new products are coming out in the
Yeah.
market, it's gonna.
Like I was
have to-
very surprised they froze up.
Very good.
Everybody was just sitting there.
Yeah.
It was
Like
good.
it's in deep city.
As I stayed in my nice warm house, watching.
Hold on, listen. Next slide, please. Now, for the first time, I added another slide. This is also all about customer service complaints. Now, if you look at fixed route, we have 6 pass-bys. Many people were at the bus stop and the bus didn't stop. No shows is 1. And we're gonna be reporting this. I'm gonna be monitoring this. But this is all part of our service. If this is all good, people will use our service.
Yeah.
Bus is not on time, driver is rude, all this is not good for us to pull all the clientele that high ridership that we all do.
Air Transit's doing good.
Yes, it's doing good. You have 0.
I'm really excited about
Yes,
Air
yes, I am too. And I predicted this before it happened. I said, if we get all full staff, the good vehicles, all this will go away. And it backed my prediction up. Look at the last one that says rudeness. 7.
Yeah.
You have 7 drivers being rude on the fixed route side. So these are all part of the stuff that I'll be monitoring to see what the complaint is all about. And I'm working with Brad to kind of put all this, because if our services, if we want to entice people to ride, we got to be on time, we got to be clean, people have to be presentable and respectful. This way, people say, oh, the driver was nice. I was a bad driver, so I know that. Then they would always want to ride with you. So, yeah, we have 7 rudeness, and on the paratransit is 1. And so this is something that we're going to be monitoring. And if the drivers need retraining, customer service training, the data is good to help us make a sound, profound decision. Without data, we don't even know what's going on. So if we can capture this every month and then make sure that the drivers are all trained so that this doesn't happen again. Now, I talked to the manager for this department and I wasn't happy about this. If you look at the board said, if somebody called you, the waiting time should be more than 60 seconds. The amount of
60 seconds is hard.
Yeah. It depends. If it's like, if we come up with this plan where you call, they direct you to the person that is suspect, give you that information, this all will minimize. What's happening now, if you call me about fixed wireless, I have to call somebody here. This is what all the BCs, the bus communication I've been talking about, will all go away. Information is not shared. So we have almost 2 minutes that people are on hold.
Let me ask you, when they call in and they're initially put on hold, are they given an option to leave a voicemail or to get a call back?
Yeah, I give Ms. Faye that credit.
Or they
Yeah,
do that?
she put that on so that the voicemail will force you to
Put that on about a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that's happening to make people not that angry.
because you only have 5 people.
Yeah, 5 people, yes.
It's really hard.
So
to
the
do
next,
60 seconds
yeah,
to 5.
yeah, so,
Because unless you set a time limit to tell them they can only talk to somebody for a certain amount of time.
yes, if it's all
Then,
time.
right, and so if you allow them to deal with the customer, handle the customer issue, it's gonna make the wait time longer.
Yeah.
So giving them the option to go to voicemail or continue to hold.
Yeah.
You know, at least
That
if there's
helps.
choice,
Yes.
that they're
Yeah.
that they're still on hold. That's a good idea.
Yes. And also, for example, we're not using much technology like I want it to be. We call it ITS, Intelligent and Technology System. For most people are using it. For example, if a driver turns in a wallet, lost and found, right, to the control room, now I come in, I focus, and I lost a wallet on Boston, just for example. They have to call in technology. Once that is logged in, that's why I'm very adamant about dashboard.
Yeah.
You know, so once that is entered, anybody at customer service know the vehicle, know what kind of wallet. It takes a second because information is right there. And so putting them on hold and calling somebody.
Like a virtual inventory.
Yeah, inventory. So everything will be on that dashboard. You know, for example, if you go to our lobby, I was talking to Ms. Kat about it. Our lobby here shows every route that is late. It's more like the airport itinerary.
Yeah.
You know, this should be at the call center where they can see that information. So it's all technology and all that's coming out. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Power BI, Microsoft Power BI. Yes. Yeah. I don't want to take all your time because we. So next one, please. Is it frozen? Okay. I'm gonna run through this real quick. The call center, the board said 14,771. That's the volume of call. Now, anytime you see this number low, that means it's good.
Do you know how many hangups?
Oh yeah, I have that data. I'll probably have to put that on my list.
Yeah, because the hangups might take your number higher.
Yeah, that
They
is.
called in, but it's not your fault if they hang up.
Yes.
But it is good to calculate.
Yeah, we have that data.
How many
Ask my
hangups?
Yes, I will make sure I make provision for that next report. So we had 13,000, which is less than what the board had recommended.
That's still a lot of calls.
Yeah, it's still a lot of calls for a month. That's still
For a month, that's a lot.
And all this because of bus passing by, bus not showing up, car truck actually not working. This is all the stuff. If I'm standing at the bus stop and I know the bus is coming in 10 minutes, it's late, what would I call the call center? The bus don't show up. That's why I'm now. I want to have some information, so that will trigger me to call the call center.
But are we considering any kind of those devices that's on the at the bus stop that can tell the customer where the bus is? You know.
Yeah, Miss Faye had a company that is doing inventory on that. So Miss Faye, want to talk about
the bus stops in
yeah.
Newport. So we had our first public meeting this past week down at the ITC. We are, so all 1,100 plus stops have now been inventoried, they've been identified, what the condition is of each, what are the amenities.
Oh, no, what I was asking, you know, when he talks about, you know, customers calling in, I was thinking that if we had, you know,
Future information board.
yeah, in the future, the information board that would tell them where the bus are,
Yeah.
they would have to call anybody.
Yeah, there's one here at the lobby,
Uh-huh.
and if you all can, you can see it tells you what bus, how many minutes late, when is it coming.
Uh-huh.
We want to put that at the call center and the ITC platform.
We'll have to figure out which stops we want
Right.
to get that at, because we would have to, just like we're gonna be staging, and you're gonna see that in the next budget, that comes before you, is we're gonna take that inventory and divide it over 4 years. And the improvements that need to be made at those stops over 4 years, we'll take a fourth of them each year and program that into the budget. And putting the technology in is another piece of that we can look at. And I do think that's a good idea. The other thing that came up in the public meeting this past week that kind of relates to this too, is for the public to be able to tell us in real time, instead of calling in, that, just like 311, they can show us if there's a trash can overflowing, if there's something, if a shelter has been hit, if the light is out, you know,
That would
those
be
kinds of
nice.
things, so that they can report it just like you do right now with your city 311 in real time. And that was a great idea that came out of the public meeting this past week.
With the respect to the bus stops, are we going to look at the ones that are that are directly in front of businesses?
We're looking at all
I know,
of them.
but to do a program where if that business wants to sponsor that shelter,
We can do that. What we've got to do, get the inventory done first. But yes, absolutely. I think that there's future, approaches that we could deploy across that whole inventory of how we, can improve the stops and adopt a stop and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
We've got to adopt some policy around that. Around, that's essentially almost like advertising policy and so forth. We've been talking about that as a part of the brand refresh strategy too.
yeah.
That we'll be bringing that forward because that's something you all need to act upon before the work starts.
Cause I got 2 calls from the Abercorn proper where the businesses they are wanting to get a stop because when it rains, apparently wherever they are, there's a bunch of children that are with moms and they come into the business and so they want a stop there. And they're willing to help to put it there.
Thank you.
Next slide. Okay, like we're talking about different. That's me with a new student that we had in the CDL class. We have 12 students. One went out, so now 11. 4 are in the program, and 7 came with the CDL. Just like last month, the last class we have 7 that had no CDL at all. They couldn't even drive a bus. We trained all 7. They all passed the road test. So our fixed rod is also getting better because of the CDL program. And thanks to you, Andrew, for helping us with the legal document. It's working right. And I want to take this opportunity real quick to give a shout out to Alisa Anderson from HR. Incredibly, she has, since she's been at HR for 6 months, she has helped us with 60 employees that join our workforce. I mean, I can, on behalf of my department, we thank her so much for the work that she's doing, both for fixed rod, paratransit, mechanics, you name it. She's been on top of it, and that's all what we all benefited. Yes, so we're also working on a retention plan and how to keep them here one day. So, Lisa, if you're watching me, Lisa, if you're watching me, good job, I'm proud of you. And the next slide, and I have to make it for this. So pretty much this is me. The Car Connect vehicles that I campaign, everybody goes to it, is beautiful. All the vehicles we have, the Car Connect is just exceptional. You can stand here no matter how tall you are. It's got room and it's very unique. Took a picture just to show you that. So if anybody's interested to see it, we are 4 ready to roll. My plan is that we got everything so far on board. We're gonna be running a campaign. That's when we're gonna run it. The date set now is February 5th. But we have Comms Department to put that on the website and do that necessary campaign. We're also gonna go to individual senior citizen housing and let them also know. So you have something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to share the information about the February 5th CAT Connect deployment. We sent that out to the board, the flyer and everything in case you want to use it at church or at your workplace or whatever. We made sure to send that out to you and to the city council and to the county commission this past week, along with the information and an acknowledgement that, as Dr. Manny just stated, that we'd be going back out to those senior residential areas to make sure that everybody's feeling very comfortable with what's about to start and how to use it and all that sort of thing. So just know that you have that information. I think we mailed it out last week, emailed it out to you last week. Thank you.
Thank you. Fixed route, you all remember when I first started, we had about 42 fixed route drivers. Now we have 74. All because of the CDA training, HR and support and all that is going to. So I'm going to run through this list, and paratransit, I did talk about it. We are 100% staff. Ms. Carter helped us out to buy new vehicles, thank you. So we're now 75% fixed route, paratransit vehicles replaced. Now, one question before I end. I have a question for the board, and if you guys want to help us out. The vehicle donation, the buses, we put it out. We have only 2 buses that were awarded. We still have 4 buses in our possession. would the board want us to go ahead and relist it on our website? I've had calls from interested companies that were directed by the board to contact me. So I don't know, do we have to do the whole thing all over again, or may I have your permission to put it on our website and let interested people get on it again? And this is probably the question to the chair.
I'm sorry.
No,
No, when you say do the whole thing, what does that
So
mean?
the whole thing is, first, the process is, we don't want to bring it to the board with the VIN number and all that. So all we want is the same way that the board is being approved to donate it. It's just that, I guess either the campaign or whatever happened, we only have 2 applicants. That, well, it was 6 qualified, all of them said that they didn't want the big bus.
Big,
They
right.
wanted small buses.
I
So
remember that.
yeah, so we're working on that for the next month report to let the board know how many paratransit vehicles that are useful life and ready for donation. But I'm talking about the 6 buses, big buses
You're
that,
talking the big buses?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we have 4 of those left. And my question is, would the board allow us to restart that again on our website and see if we can have interesting vendors to.
Is there a legal ramification, Andrew?
I think if you've, excuse me, if staff has already determined that those vehicles are at the end of their useful life and are suitable for donation, I don't think it has to go before the board.
No, we did bring it to the board and the board approved it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think you're fine to just list them, unless the board wants to go in a completely different direction, but I assume that the concept of the program is still viable. And then, you know, I would recommend that the board just allow staff to just go ahead and list those.
I think the biggest point of contention was that the people who bid it didn't know
Yes.
that they're big
Right.
buses.
Yes.
So they were supposed to go clean that up, make sure that it's clear.
Yeah. On the
Understood.
website, we're
Yeah, so
gonna
as long as that's clear, yeah, as long
Yeah.
as that's been fixed.
yeah we're gonna mention that with the CDL requirement to
Right,
as part of the
right,
program.
that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the tenor.
as long as you clean
On
it
that
up.
note, I'll make room for my other colleagues. So, any questions for me? If not, Happy New Year to you all again.
Thank you.
All right, next one is our planning and infrastructure development presentation.
And I really want to apologize that I think these reports are important, and I think it's regrettable that board members had to leave, you know, before. You guys put in a lot of work, and I think you deserve to be celebrated, and we deserve to hear you. And I think it's unfortunate, sometimes we might need to take a look at how we do our agenda and things like that, because there's gonna be discussions, and there are gonna be questions, but I don't think they should be penalized for that.
No.
So, I just want to apologize.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I'm sure my other chiefs appreciate that too. Just for the record, Mary Moskowitz, Chief of Planning and Infrastructure Development. I want to say hello to the board, the chairman, and the public that's watching. So for today's general planning, I'm going to start with some just general planning updates. My staff really right now, we're really busy in the middle of our service planning for the March 2024 service change. And I really want to appreciate the input that we get from our riders and from our operators, specifically to operator Joseph Garrett and operator Marquis Weed, who's here today, on their input, because it's really important to hear back from them, and that really helps us when we're tweaking those schedules. And so again, you know, we'd love to hear from you, people who are using the system, and from our operators when we're doing those service changes.
What I would suggest, just for the public that may be viewing, is you tell us what those proposed changes are for March.
I will, if you wait 1 minute, you get to see that. So that's a great idea, so thank you. So I will go on and just say some other things that we're working on before I get to those March service changes. Talking about, we are coordinating with some of our business partners, particularly now with our expansion to Port Whitmore. We're working with Gulfstream and Wayfair, both looking at that existing fixed route and that new proposed fixed route system, and then also some other service that may be provided in those areas. I think Ms. Johnson mentioned the zero fare policy. We're really excited because this has given us the opportunity to educate the next generation of transit riders. And based on some of the work that we've done with the school board, they've asked us to go to the Student Expo this Saturday. So we will be there, planning staff, in partnership with our marketing and communication team, and really have that opportunity to educate the new riders who are coming up on how to use the system, how to read a transit map, because sometimes that can be a little bit difficult, those timetables, how to understand that, and how to use some of our technology like the CAT Tracker and in Google Transit on how to plan your transit trip and use the system. And we really want to emphasize how to use the system in a safe manner. I think one of the things the school board really emphasized to us is that students need to be responsible on their knowledge on how to use a system and how to behave when they're on public transit. And we want to make sure that we're giving that information out to particularly the K-12 schools.
We, really quickly, we do have a press conference still tomorrow. Press conference with the school board, or school district tomorrow about the upcoming zero fare for students.
So the program is open to college students, and our marketing team is working with the colleges and universities. So obviously, if they need that education, we're here to provide that. But the Student Expo is particularly for the non-traditional. So anybody, as long as you have a college ID, you can take advantage of that zero fare policy.
One other quick update, marketing reported this morning that we've had over 100 signups for the new student fare, student ridership program, so already.
So again, this is just college students we're talking about?
No, this was for the zero fare for everybody.
Any student in Chatham County.
Yeah.
So this is an exciting program, so are there any other questions about? And something that I'm particularly excited about is our St. Patrick's Day service. We've been talking with our partners in the city of Savannah and Fort Whitworth about providing both that special service, a special shuttle on the day of the parade, which is March 16th this year, and then also sponsorship for that zero fare for everybody. They want the 2 days, March 15th and March 16th. So you expect to see those memorandums of understanding at our February board meeting. Any questions about? So Dr. Robinson mentioned some of the updates to those service changes, and that really goes back to our transit development master plan. And so I wanted to tie the two of those together. So really, we want to look at the past, where we were, and where we're moving in the future. So the goal for the transit master plan is to have that 30-minute headway on our highest ridership routes every weekday with that 15-hour span of service. And then, and for all of our services to have at least a 60-minute headway. So you can see, starting in November, we had 2019, that was where we kind of started with that baseline, with that pre-COVID service. And then we had to reduce that service, because of that in 2020. So coming back in our most recent service change, which was implemented in November of 2023, we see some increased rider frequencies, particularly on Route 25. And then another thing that we want to focus on is doing that two-way service. So a lot of times with some of our routes, we do loops. So that's really good if you're doing the inbound service. You may be able to catch the bus, but you're coming back on the outbound. You have to wait a whole route to kind of go around on a loop to come back. So we wanted to see if we could do some tweaks to really provide that two-way service. So you've got a service both going inbound and outbound, and that helps with that reliability that we are always striving to get.
That column says peak buses, the numbers. What is that?
So that's the total number of buses that are required to achieve that service. So we have right now 47 buses available for us. In order to achieve the service, we need at a minimum 29 buses.
What you said in November 2019, you had 44 peak buses, and you had 44 buses running
at the peak service. Yeah.
And then it went down in 2022.
Correct.
And then kind of stayed the same in 2023, and now in March, you anticipate it going up?
Yes, because we anticipate more service, so you're going to need more buses. to
We're
provide
growing
that
back.
level of service.
So, but are we trying to reach the 44 mark or not?
We have a minimum of 47 buses available for us, so we don't want to hit 47. I think we want to get, you have to have at least 5 buses available for, in case there's a bus that's out. But we want to just make sure that we have enough buses to service the routes that we have.
So the height of what you look for is 42?
That's the maximum that we could achieve, yes. Any other questions?
Keep in mind though, as our service, as the master transit plan outlined, as our service continues to grow, and we have more, both funding and demand coming in and those kinds of things, what our overall, bus fleet looks like and what it's composed of, fixed route, micro, para, and so forth, what that looks like is going to change over time, which is a good thing. And we just need to be, as is mentioned here, being mindful of what is that demand that or the need of what we've got to have, the capacity we've got to have there in order to meet the service that we're providing.
So the 47 you're talking about is the current fleet?
That's our current cap.
No, I
So
mean,
to
is that the current number of buses that you have in your fleet?
Yes.
And then when you do the microtrans, you're gonna have more buses in your fleet,
Different kind though.
different kinds. So how would that impact that particular peak bus number? It wouldn't at all? You're not concerned about them being on that particular chart?
Well, you're showing microtransit in March of 2024. You're showing that rolling out, and we've got 5 peak buses, or actually microtransit vehicles. They're not going to be a bus like your regular bus. There's going to be 5 microtransit vehicles that'll roll out with the Smart Grant pilot.
So should that 31 be a different number?
No, it is the number of what all's projected to be needed in there. That's what's needed.
I guess just seeing it for the first time, I have to think about it.
So let me explain that. The 44 is the fleet size. The FDA requires us to have what we call a spare ratio.
I got that part.
Yeah, so-
Okay. So I guess what I'm asking, in 2024, when we should be somewhere within our master transit plan, active in our master transit plan.
Yes, ma'am.
If you have 47 buses in your regular fleet.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
5 on reserve,
Yes, ma'am.
right? But you're gonna have other smaller buses to take care of the micro transit.
Right, but what that 31 represents is what they're saying in that column on that one. It's kind of a separate thing from the 47 plus however many microtransit we have. What that's saying is we need 31 in March of 2024 in order to run the service that's outlined there. We need 31.
I think maybe some of the confusion is, these are the fixed route buses, we may have to add that, I see what the question is,
Yeah.
we'll have to add the microtransit bus.
To the,
To
exactly,
the list, yes, I understand that now,
Okay.
yes.
because that 31 number represents both of what's going to be
31
used.
number
or-
represents both or just the big one?
Just big one.
We've got, well, what we've got on there, I'm assuming it has both, because look, you've got microtransit, 5 peak buses
It's a
listed.
number of peak buses that we need, but we'll separate them out because 47 is the number of fixed route buses that we have.
Exactly.
We have, we'll have 5 microtransit buses, so we'll separate that out, so it's not as confusing.
Yeah, I see, yes.
We're only getting 5 microtransit?
Just for the pilot. We will have more later, but remember where the more later comes in is our competitiveness for Smart Grant 2. And we believe that they will announce that sometime in March. One other good development around that I'll just mention really quickly is last week or week before, the director of the Smart Grant program in Washington reached out regarding the ITS America conference that's going to be in Phoenix, Arizona. I think it's in April, and they are going to have a panel, and they've invited only 4 folks that received SMART grants. They looked on a volunteer basis too, but they've invited 4 of us to participate on a panel with the director of the national program to present, and we're one of them.
When we get a microtransit on Islands Expressway, is one of the areas that we need to look at, because because there's only one bus stop on Islands Expressway.
It's in that microtransit zone 4, Director Odell, if you look on the map. So the first zone is East Savannah, then you got right after that 2 and 3, which is West Savannah to serve the jobs and all that sort of area. And then area 4 is more along toward the islands.
Yeah, there's like 12 apartment complexes that we pass to go to the grocery store, but there's no way for them to get on the bus.
Thank you for that comment. Appreciate it.
So I'm gonna spend a little bit of time, I think we talked about it a little bit, but that March service change, what's coming up, and that service change will begin March 11th. We are starting the first microtransit zone. Now, because of the way the technology works with our service change and some of the nuances that we have to do with that, the microtransit is not starting, and it will start after that on March 25th. So it's not starting the same day as our service change, just because of the way we want to give our operators some time to make that adjustment for the service change. And we will be starting in zone 1, which is the East Savannah. The other changes are the extension of the 3D. So now we're, for naming conventions, we have calling Route 5 is the Fort Wentworth extension, and then the 3B, we will be adding a stop to the new Groves High School. And what this will allow us to do with the 5 and the 3B is to achieve that 30-minute headway on Augusta Avenue. And if you look, Augusta Road, and if you look at our ridership there, that's one of our highest ridership areas. And so that meets that goal of providing that 30-minute headway on a high ridership corridor.
I don't see 5. I just see 3B.
Yes, so, and I apologize, because we made the naming convention, after I made this slide. So in order to meet our naming convention, we had to call it Route 5.
Okay, so one of those is gonna be 5.
5, the Fort Wentworth route will be 5, and then the 3B
Will be the
will,
Groves.
we still have the 3B, but that will go to Groves House.
Okay.
But does that 3B, the Groves, is that a part of that whole Garden City expansion, or is that bus always been running?
3B has always been running.
Yeah.
It's always been going to Groves High School.
It has been going in that location.
Yeah.
But now, because of the new roundabout that's been built there, now we will be able to serve directly Groves High School.
The stop is actually across the street from Groves.
I think
And
that's
then
right.
they have to walk across from it.
So we will be.
The existing stop, but
Existing.
Yes.
it's not part of the expansion, they're still debating.
It's the existing stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we'll be adding a new stop at the Groves High School, not in front of the high school, but at that roundabout. So now the students will have to cross the street.
Because remember, it's on the right side,
Right.
but they don't pick up nobody when they come back.
Mhm.
So there's no stops on the left side.
Okay,
So this will change that.
so that's the inbound, outbound.
No, it's outbound, ain't no inbound.
Okay.
But they got a roundabout there.
Right,
So she's saying they're now gonna service the roundabout and the kids can get out and go to the.
Go back to the
school.
high school.
which is safer.
Thank you.
And it's also a part of, remember, the master transit plan. One of our goals was to try to work within our existing fixed routes to align them as much as we can, make tweaks, if you will, to help them serve the schools better in an effort to help the schools out with their own transportation situation, but also to improve our service and improve safety as we're describing.
So then again, in that same area on the Route 3, which now goes on Augusta Road, that will be now serving Bay Street. So now we'll have parallel service on Augusta Road and on Bay Street with the Route 3B. Route 17, we're going to be doing a deviation into the Kroger. And so that will both serve people who are on Route 17 instead of having to cross the busy street to get to the Kroger. They will have access on the service road instead. But then also when microtransit is available, that will be a safe, what we call a safe transport point. Our microtransit vehicles, as you know, are much smaller than a transit vehicle, so they can't stop at traditional bus stop like some of our transit vehicles. So this will allow you to be on the micro transit vehicle and have a place to transfer to a fixed route. So, and then as part of our agreement with the city of Savannah, we have 3 buses now running on the 7F, and so that will increase frequency on that so. Any questions about what's coming up in March?
I guess, is there a personnel issue, or would we need more drivers, or?
Yeah, we gotta go.
We've been working very diligently with operations to make sure that we meet the staffing needs.
Question, the Route 17 stop, you said it's gonna be on Burrick, okay, so instead of where it is on the outside, y'all putting it in the inside, where
Yes,
that
ma'am.
road is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then, we talked about, when you leave the service road, we're gonna make it so you just make a right onto Route 17 instead of having to make a left onto Burke Avenue. So we made that, we're working on making that change in the system.
So it will come out at the light instead of
yes, ma'am.
okay.
Yeah. So any other, other questions? Okay, we can go to the next slide. Looking forward to July, so these are some of the changes that we are looking at exploring, and obviously we will come back to you with the formal service change announcement. But again, the goal is getting that 30-minute headway onto our most high service roads, and then overall to get that 60-minute headway on all of our services. So one way to achieve that is, getting back that direct service to the airport. So when we have micro transit in West Chatham available, that will allow us to provide that direct airport service on Route 3. Route 27, which is one of the Waters loops, we can add a 3rd bus to that, and then together with Route 28, we'll have that 30-minute headway on Waters Avenue. Route 17, this is something that we're exploring, is especially when we start having micro-transit, we want to make sure that we're providing service to everybody, and we recognize that Parker Road is a high ridership area, but it also is a large deviation for us. So is there an appropriate vehicle that we can use? Micro-transit may be a more appropriate option for that corridor, so that's something that we're looking at. Once that microtransit is established, and we know that we can support that ridership.
But now, Parker Road, I think you might really want to take a serious look at that, because I don't think microtransit will be able to service the volume that you have on Parker Road. So that's my concern, is you have working class people, and they live so far out, and they need the frequency. Unless you have some on demand, I don't know how I would be really careful.
Well, microtransit will be on demand. All of microtransit's on demand, but I think your point is a really good one, Dr. Robinson, because I think one of the things that we're going to be doing, especially over the next couple of years, a little bit of experimenting and a lot of probably adjusting, is that, we now have multiple tools in our toolkit. We have our traditional fixed route service, which is the workhorse of our system. Very important, always going to be. We have our paratransit service serving those differently abled and our seniors and so forth. But then we have this large percentage of our paratransit users that are ambulatory and therefore can use lots of different services. So now we're adding in the microtransit, which is on demand, smaller capacity, all those kinds of things. We're going to be experimenting in these service changes over the next several years with figuring out what's the right tool in the right place, to your very point of, and how does demand start growing in a way that I think we're going to have to be nimble and ready to adjust and meet those needs with service changes over the coming several years. But I think that was a great point that you made.
And I'm thinking that that the drivers, or the people who represent the drivers, are kind of intimately involved in, as you look at these changes, because I think who's better to tell you what the field is like than the people who actually out there doing the work. So I'm hoping that's the case.
Oh, we've had them directly involved. I know Waukee is I think he's like he is the advisory council for work with our folks that are doing the service change work.
Now you get here to talk about 31. 31 is one of my heartbeats, okay? And you say shorten the route to Walmart, what does that mean?
So there's a loop that goes around the Walmart, so this would just go directly, instead of going around the loop, this would just go straight to the Walmart.
Where's the loop?
It goes around, and I apologize, and I should know the system's a little bit better, but I'll have to go back and look, but I can give you
The stadium.
The stadium?
It turns and goes through the stadium.
Right.
And it doesn't really pick up the light. It comes out by Parker, and then so it's going like the 4 directly to Walmart instead of around the stadium.
But the only thing that's back there is that
Yeah.
Chatham County,
Yeah.
Public Works, yeah, so, yeah, and I saw that, I was wondering, because there is a stop across from the stadium, between the stadium and that other park.
Yeah, it's a
Or
stop.
just for you get on
Right
Skidaway.
after. Yeah, right after, and then it's a stop right on the side of Parker.
But now the stop at the stadium, well, I'm thinking it's important just during maybe football season or something like that, but I don't
Well, you
know.
know, they have a stop on the outside of it.
Okay.
So there, I think this is your last slide. So I wanted to add two quick comments really quickly that I think are really important. One is we haven't added it yet to the master plan update because this was really focused on the service changes upcoming and so forth. But also in November of 2024, you are going to be christening 2 new ferries and replacing 2 very well worn, very much needed replacements, and you're going to replacing what we are with larger ferries, more capacity for the growth that's occurring in and around that part of Savannah as well. And then the last thing I wanted to say that's as far as master plan update is I hope as you all are looking at these slides and you're asking the questions, I hope as a board you're taking a minute to congratulate yourselves and to recognize what you've created and what you've done in a really short period of time. This look at, Dr. Robinson really pushed us hard. I want to see the updates to the master plan. We've got a master transit plan. What are we doing with it? And so this notion of giving these regular updates so that you all can see the actions that are being taken towards implementation, because plans are only as good as their implementation. That's the only way we make a difference to the people who need us. But this is a moment where this board, your leadership is on great display here, and I hope you're taking a minute to congratulate yourselves and the community in what you came together and created here. This is the future of CAT, and you're watching it happen live and in real time, and I don't know how much more exciting it can possibly get than that. So congratulations to you all.
In fact, I think the term shorten the route is what
Captured your attention.
Yeah, but when she explained, what you're doing.
It's more direct.
Yeah, and you're rerouting it to make it more direct, which would definitely save time. You're not cutting anybody out.
Maybe you say create direct route to Walmart instead of shorten route. And then it's more about what you're creating instead of what you're.
And in concert with that, and this is something that we're actually working on with the Mart service teams as well, is adding the service along Salad Mood, which is in kind of that same area, including serving, being able to have, again, that bi-directional service to the Goodwill and to the stadium.
And the Department of Health.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's a good stuff.
Yeah. So we're looking at adding that. So again, what we call the bi-directional, so both inbound and outbound. This is something we're dealing with. It's the Go to 7 route, so you may see that in the next service change as well. And both with the Go to 7 and the Spanish State, again, those connections to colleges and universities was identified as a need in that transit master plan, and looking at the universities that they're going to provide their service.
So the 31 is no longer going down.
Y'all really should be so proud of
Salad
yourselves.
It won't, that's what we will be looking at in July, so, if that, changes, so yes. That's the proposal.
And then about 11, you're actually going to be able to go on campus and turn around?
That is something we are looking at, that is our goal, but, again, we're working towards that.
Now, I'm thinking if you're going to go on campus at all, you'd go past the security gate and make your turnaround. Because Savannah State now have their own bus where they're transporting students from area, I don't think you would want to, it'd be nice if you go on campus, but, you know, as you think about, just think about, you know, what makes sense as far as the bus lanes to turn around and same time. Because 31 is coming down the road, right at that gate. Am I right?
Yeah.
So I was wondering, but I don't see a safe place for them to pull over as much as they can when they're at that roundabout.
We'll look at that, Dr. Robinson, and get back to the board on that.
That right stadium gate on the road, and then it goes on the Skidaway. You got to stop on the left-hand side of Skidaway, but nothing on the right-hand side by Savannah State on Skidaway.
Yeah, those are all things that we will analyze as we move forward.
There's got to be a way to safety pull off to. I don't think that.
Dr. Robinson, they do have now, they implemented the 11th stop is right in front of Savannah State.
It
So
is.
they did add that to Savannah State, so it's right there.
Yeah, but it says on campus stop, so I was wondering whether they were trying to get inside the gate to turn around and go back out. That's why I was asking. It says on campus stop.
We're looking at all possibilities, so, again, we have to coordinate with our partners.
While we're mentioning Savannah State, a quick shout out. I know y'all are familiar with the Savannah State intern that has been with us over the SMART Grant project. You had mentioned earlier the importance of the dashboard work that Dr. Manny's doing. We are really excited. Padma made a presentation to us last week on her internship project. What a fantastic job she's done. And we're going to be very hopeful that we find a way to keep her. She's just been a great part of the CAT family. She just has such a great team attitude about her, but also smart as can be. Savannah State should be proud. So she's doing a lot of work with Dr. Manny, and I think it's going to be a critical part of that data work that we continue to do that is so important for performance management, performance benchmarking. So we're trying.
Or a good mark on her resume. You know, it's a good resume builder too. Yeah.
So looking kind of even more into the future, if you know, when microtransit is successful, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, you know, utilizing that in Zone 4, the island transit area, and being able to get, that's really the beauty of microtransit, is that it can get into those smaller areas that aren't traditionally served by a large transit vehicle. So, you know, when we demonstrate the success of that, you know, we'll be able to, you know, make efficiencies on a fixed route to make those faster and more reliable, and then also being able to serve those communities that may not have access right.
Let's add the ferries for November 2024 next meeting. That's on me. I should have caught that. So.
And when you say the ferries, I'd like to know what about the naming, and are we going to keep them? Or are we going to, you know, because there's a whole, and I say that only because there's a whole lot of recognition being given to Susie King Taylor throughout the city. So we may need to consider, you know, what we're going to rename them or keep the names.
Right now, what we're planning to do as of right now, but there was a reason for this earlier, Dr. Robinson, was that, remember when the Monopoly game was being designed and there was a discussion about whether or not they would use the names somehow of the ferries as a part of the game. And so at that time, we thought the easiest thing to do would be to, the new ferries that come in become like the Susie King Taylor 2. The Mary Musgrove 2, and that way the stories that go along with them that are a lot of times our personnel, our ferry personnel, that's a part of them telling those stories about who those people, who those women are, and what they represent is oftentimes a part of the trip. They point things out and so forth, and it generates those good historical conversations. So as of right now, our plan is to keep the naming of whoever's being retired and just put a 2 after the name.
With that concludes my report, unless there's any questions.
All right, our last report for the day, our Chief Administrative Officer, Gerald Sanders. Oh, I'm sorry, our next to last report. Are you next and I skipped you? Oh, Ms. Cutter, thank you. I'm so sorry. Always want to hear the numbers. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Please excuse me. All right. Our next report is finance and then administration. And we're going to Ms. Cutter first. These are the last two reports for the day. There we go.
Good afternoon, Board of Directors, Chairman, CEO DeMassimo, public colleagues. I'm going to be going over the financial services and compliance report for the month January, covering the months of November and December. This first slide gives a comparison of each account by fund, operating account, the grant fund, and the investment account. If you notice, under the operating account, the month of December, the balance $11.4 million. And that's primarily driven by transit tax collections and the revenues from the expansion of the dock show billing at the new rates. The grant account, of course, that's the inflows and outflows of grant revenue. And then the investment account at the end of the month, $8.2 million. And that's what we have sitting in the investment account at the end of December. Our revenue by category, you'll see November, December, and the year-to-date actual. Dr. Robinson, I want to call your attention to this because the month of December, those numbers were not there at committee, but they're there now, and it shows the differential and bottom line, the year-to-date variance is a positive of $1.7 million. Okay. This graph, it shows, of course, the revenues by category, and I wanted to highlight the revenue amount, the actual versus budget, the actual $16.8 million, and you see the red line compared to the blue line, it exceeds, the actual is exceeding the projected revenue. And that's going to change, depends on when the revenue is coming in. November, December was high for revenue because of the property tax collections, which impacts the transit tax collections. Our fixed route revenue, our paratransit revenue, as Dr. Manning said, ridership down in December, reflection of the revenue also down in December. 100,730 for the month of December. On the paratransit side, slightly down as well. Our transit tax revenue, the bar shows the comparison July through December. You have a chart below that gives you the actual amount. If you see, look at December, we received $5.4 billion. November, we received 2.6. That 5.4 includes the tax credit that the state of Georgia reimbursed us for. That was like a little over $691,000. The investment account, the interest for the month of December, $37,799. It continues to do well. The transit tax receipts for that was received in November, actually for the month of October, was $2.6 billion broken down by the collection, the receipts during December, $5.4 billion, a reflection of the collections for November of 2020, broken down by category. shows the month in cash balance. As you see, the peak was in December. Tax collections, increased transit revenue for Chatham area transit. Just as projected, a peak in the month of December, reflecting property owners paying their property tax. Grant activity, we went over this. It shows you the actual draws that we took in November and December from our FTA grants and our local match slots. And the bottom part of the chart shows all projects wherein we utilize grant funding. Grant numbers are on the chart as well. Financial stability for the agency, reserve fund policy, 3 months of operating equaling 7.9 million. As of December 31st, we actually have $8.2 million in reserve funding. Our revenue and expense comparison for November through December, you have your November column, revenues 3.7, expenses 2.1, for a in the black, revenues over expenses of $1.5 million. Month of December, revenue 7.5 million, expenses 2 million. For in the black, revenue over expenses of $5.5 million. Year-to-date column is there, $4.5 million. For a variance of $5.3 million in the black.
That figure on the year-to-date budget of 792,000, so red.
That reflects within the budget, and it's really contingent upon what's coming. We had a contingency where monies have to go out. It's captured there because that's not necessarily budgeted in any of the divisions. Is captured and that's money that goes against the budget that's really unbudgeted, but it's an expense that we had to cover. So that's pretty much what that reflects.
Would that reflect the 20,000 we talked about earlier?
It will show up and come from, yes. And this chart just shows the increase or decrease in spending, comparing November to December in the chart on that. And then the expenses by category, nothing new. Salaries and wages makes up the largest portion of expenses. For December, salaries and wages made up 49% of the expenditures for the agency, followed by benefits at 19%. And that concludes the numbers report. Are there any questions? No questions? Very good.
Thank you.
All right, now, Mr. Sanders.
Good afternoon, Jim Cody, directors, and to the viewing audience. I'm going to be brief because I know what time of day we're at. It's been a long day for us all, so I'm gonna briefly go through mine and stick to script. Let's go to the next slide. And I'm going to start with recruitment and vacancy stats summary. This is as of December 23rd. And I'll just highlight totals at the bottom for you for the sake of expediency. As of the end of last year and reporting for December, there were 89 applications received. Of that, when HR reviewed them, there were 34 deemed not qualified. Of that number, 21 offers were extended to candidates. And we have new hires. We have 13 new hires. And in terms of vacancies, after all was said and done, we have 44 vacancies. And if you'll notice about midways down, you'll see 16 with an asterisk beside it. And I just wanted to highlight that because that represents the number of vacancies that we have in terms of bus operators. Dr. Manny has alluded to some of this, previously, but I highlighted it because it shows progress. I mean, we had a lot more vacancies at one period of time, and you'll see a note with an asterisk down at the bottom of this slide also that highlights some information he shared with me, certainly shared with you all, that we have 98. 98 is our optimal number. We're a lot closer than I think we were at some points in time in 2023. So I would say that that's progress all the way around. HR, as you mentioned earlier, the staff, just us working together as a CAT team to lower that number and get us to where we ought to be.
Mr. Sanders,
Yes, ma'am.
when we talk about office extended, and you get 13 new hires, so there's about 8 people that we extended an offer to, and they turned us down. Various reasons. So yeah, do we keep track of, just to help us with whatever it is that this person went through the trouble of applying for a job, get an offer, then why did they not come on board?
Well,
I know
that's a good question.
Right.
And
But my question was more or less, are we kind of tracking that in any way?
we weren't tracking it up through the end of December, but as a part of our focus in 2024 to look at retention, as you all have asked. And one of the other things that I have been in conversation with the HR team to implement in 2024 is surveying people after they've left. Surveying people, who have maybe applied and decided not to go forward with the process, but in particular, people who work for us, they left. There's no current process in place where we're talking to those individuals when they leave. So we want to start tracking that, and rather than have each department do it, the idea that we talked about and that I believe is the best one is for HR to independently reach out to them electronically to give us feedback on what was your experience, why did you leave, so forth and so on. So
I think, Dr. Robinson, it has been being done. It just hasn't been being done, to Mr. Sanders' point, uniformly, because I know that in the past there have been exit interviews conducted, but it's happened more sporadically and not as uniformly as it needs to. And also it's been, I think, Mr. Sanders' suggestion and statement that he just made about doing it through an online process where people can really feel comfortable if they really want to, share more in any kind of way, they can feel very free to do so. So we're trying to make it as comfortable as possible.
That's a better strategy.
We do.
We've had some conversation about that. I don't think that paper is the
Bless
best
you.
way to do it. Everything's electronic now. You can literally do it on the phone, on the computer. If you don't have one, you can do it in the library. So we think that that's one option. Obviously, would be more effective. Yes, sir. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay. Some of this information has been highlighted already, but this is sort of a new highlight summary, if you will, that I wanted to share with you all. This is as of January 8th. And, as it says clearly, we've got, 2 people that we desperately need in safety. We're having challenges continuously with hiring and in some cases retaining security officers. So anytime that number goes up, I get excited, as I do. Dr. Manny talks about more bus drivers and so forth, because safety is very important to us. not only for the ITC, but I have stressed to them that we have employees who work late at night. Sometimes I'm included in that number, but I get real concerned when you have female employees in particular, whether they're drivers, or whether they're admin staff, you work at 8 o'clock, you gotta walk the parking lot and there's no security around, you know the lights aren't best, you know, in this area, but if there's something we can do to make them feel safer when they're going through the cars, that's what we're gonna do, to put emphasis on that. And I will say, as another quick FYI, I've been working with the safety team to make sure that not only our safety officers around the ITC, but last night, if you were around and work late, probably saw an officer riding around the building, lights, yellow lights flashing on their vehicle. She was in the car and she was out of the car, walking around, making sure that the environment was safe. So that's something that we want to integrate, not only with ITC, but we want to do that at this location because we have valued team members who work well and they work late.
We want to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Maybe another thing is, once everybody leaves, they're still here, they can move their cars, and to the closer to the building so they don't have to walk across the street.
That's something we can consider, yeah.
Spaces are limited, but
One thing I want to be sure too that we are going to be placing a heavy emphasis on, and it's a part of what you saw earlier today with that short-term emergency procurement we did for some specialized and additional safety and security personnel, is as we look at hires, obviously we want to get just our core staff that is more facility focused up to speed, but we also want to look at in the FY25 budget the size of the safety and security staff with a likely eye towards increasing the number of positions available there, because we do think it is important to continue to have some flexibility to have safety and security staff that we can rotate on the fixed routes as they are in operation, so they're on bus. That's just a good thing to be able to have, and those, even just the uniformed officers, act as a deterrent or a reminder. And so that's another thing that we'll be hearing more of us about and seeing in the FY25 budget.
I am not sure about that one, but I believe so. And I know that, as a preventive measure, particularly at the ITC when things go down, that coordination is there. I'm not sure about this area, but it's something certainly that we can make sure happen. We have quite a few people that work there.
We are, Mr. Sanders, and remember, they're using us now. Now, they haven't fully activated on it, but they're using us as a layover. There's actually 3 precincts that sort of come together in this area, and they have activated a procedure. They have access to our gates and doors and such now for the personnel that are on duty, so that they can stop over here, lay over, and use our break room to fill out their reports, grab a cup of coffee, interact. Absolutely interact with our operators, so that, because our operators are the people who can tell them things that they see that the officers might not be able to see. So that has been something that we worked on with the city, and obviously the mayor has provided such tremendous leadership. The mayor and the city manager have provided such tremendous leadership to establishing that, and that those good relationships, good community relationships, are a part of how we make CAP better.
And is there a neighborhood association around here?
Well, Eastside, we have, that's my neighborhood association. So Eastside Concerned Citizens we have, but, we've been a little inactive after the gentleman died who led it for years and years. And then the person who took over after him moved to a different area. And so Director Alderman Leggett has been working to reactivate our neighborhood group, and that's in process, I would say. But yes, we have one, and used to be, I know, we come and Savannah PD would be there, and you get a report and all kinds of things. It's not as regular as it once was, but it's getting back there.
And I would think, for as the communication piece is concerned too, is that you do have active neighborhood associations. And it's good. I mean, you may not go to every one of them, but every now and then you show up and say, especially if you got a high ridership, like the number 10 in East Savannah, or just let them get to know CAT, and, and sometimes it's not the most comfortable environment.
Yeah.
Why y'all not doing this? Why y'all not doing that? But just have a ready answer.
We have a standing invitation to Cloverdale. We're there every month, just about,
And you
so,
can probably get it to any of the
yeah,
other
for
ones,
any of the others too.
if you just seek them out. But I think that's another good source of partnering with the communities and
Absolutely.
neighborhood associations. Yeah.
We're really proud, though, of the project that we have with Savannah PD to have them use this as a stopover point. So, and we are starting to see them, it's a habit. They've got to get in the habit of remembering that we're now a resource available, a facility resource available. So we're starting to see that happen some, and hopefully that will only grow.
And you can see the numbers for the other ones, but the other one I would highlight, and this actually should be 11 instead of 10 here for the new trainings that we currently have in class. They have gone through one portion of the classroom training, and my understanding is they're currently going through field training right now. So with that, next slide, please. I wanted to take this opportunity for this slide to highlight some things that I mentioned to you all the first meeting when I presented to you, and that is to talk about, upgrading business processes to the extent possible, and making, policy enhancements, particularly in areas where we can introduce some innovation, and other areas where we may have policies that are 10, 12 years old. And I'll probably be talking about and addressing some of those a little bit further in the coming months. But this is just a few of them. We have some dynamic people working in training. They are innovative in their thinking, very creative. I would give kudos to Ms. Williams, who is in that department, working real hard. But just to mention a couple of them, I mean, we're proposing and/or we already have working in place things like enhancing of the training schedule. We create a training schedule every year, and it's a part of the budget. It's actually approved as part of the budget, but we're finding that there are some tweaks that are necessary, and we're introducing them as a part of the schedule. And just to give you an example, customer service training, that we did a class that was not just open to operators, it was open to everybody here in the agency. We did that back on the 5th for the first time. And my understanding is that class had about 15 people that showed up. Customer service is something that we need to do across the board. It's an operator, it's an administrative, it's a part of everything that we do at CAT to enhance culture, image, branding. I can go on. And we're also looking to introduce other types of classes like safety officer training, and talking with the safety manager. I found it's not just of interest to teach officers about FTA requirements. I think it's important because of the nature of the population that we're dealing with, whether they're on a bus or the ITC or patrolling, this area, understanding how to resolve conflict, how to communicate with people. Those types of skills don't always walk in the door to a person. So I think it's a value for them to be trained, both coming in the door, and we've talked about people being introduced to some of these forms of training at the midpoint of every year, and to keep them refreshed so that we can stay out of trouble also when we're dealing with people who may be hard to deal with. And I certainly don't want to see any employee, particularly with safety officers, I don't want their lives to be put in jeopardy as well. So that is, one of our focus areas. And then we're looking at things like ADA, CPR. I was in a meeting with the staff just the other day, and I was saying, well, what if a driver is out driving a bus, and that person has cardiac arrest, or there's somebody on the bus who gets sick or what have you? I mean, how do we react to that? Do we have to pull the bus over to the side and wait for the ambulance to come, or do we have training where we can potentially save that person's life? So that is one of the things that we looked at, and we said, hey, why not offer training on CPR? Why not teach staff how to use defibrillators? Even if something goes down here in the building. So those are the kinds of things that we're looking at. One of the other is we talked about doing a post-training survey. Why do a post-training survey? Well, for quality control reasons. We talk about the level of service And we put a lot of emphasis on being very professional when we're doing it across the board. But we had the idea of why not let the trainees tell us what kind of job we're doing. Ms. Williams, our training officer, has devised a survey, and we're going to start using that. It doesn't necessarily have to drive policy, but it can say to us, we're doing a good job beyond what we're already thinking we're doing ourselves. So that's information perhaps that I can share at some other point, but we thought that was a good idea from a staff standpoint. We're looking to introduce an ambassador academy, and you can see on the screen some of the things that we look to address, in that regard. We're updating the preventive accident retraining curriculum for operators, and that's a simple way of saying when an operator has an accident in a bus, as I understand it, they have to go through some retraining to refresh them on how they should be driving safely. And then we have found that some of the operators, believe it or not, have come to the training department and said, hey, look, I've been driving for X number of years. Some of the stuff is a little foggy. Will you do a refresher course for us? And the staff has been willing to do that. That has gone over well. Dr. Manning, I know some of the supervisors have said, hey, can you make this ongoing? And certainly we're willing and able to do that should come to that point where we need to. And then the last one, I'll give Mr. Massimo some credit for the bus mentorship program. She was kind enough to send out an article to the staff some time back. I read it. We talked about it and we said, hey, okay, this ain't a bad idea. Let's see how we can integrate this into the way that we do business. And so the goal of this idea, as we discussed it internally, was this can be peer-to-peer support. And I know other agencies are doing it around the country. And then also we felt like this could be one possible way that retention could be enhanced. We all know what it's like to go to a new job, new environment. Ain't always easy to transition. But if you got people who are supporting you, who are locking arms with you, it makes it a little bit easier to navigate your way around a new job, and to certainly be there for a length of time. And we know in Cat's case, I tell our drivers when I talk to them, especially the ones in the new class, I say, I'm looking forward to you being around until retirement. So that's my slogan comment that I often make to them. But anyway, with that, next slide, please. This is some information on the accidents with the Safety, Security, and Risk Management Department. This is one of the things that they track. They are all that department also oversees the security officer. So I know Dr. Manning had previously been reporting this information, but now that I've come on board, I'm going to start reporting it and sharing this information with you on a monthly basis. And basically, this just highlights what we call preventable and non-preventable accidents. As you can see at the top, staff recorded 6 preventable accidents, and if you look across the slide, it tells you which ones were on site, which ones were off site. Obviously, this one says that the majority of them were off site. And under type, you see types of accidents that occurred and the damage that was done to the vehicle. I do want to highlight this right here should be maintenance, so that's my fault here instead of Marine listed twice. But as you can see, there were 6 accidents, preventable accidents that the staff tracked, and then of course at the bottom there were 8 non-preventable accidents that were recorded in the period that we were tracking. And, with that concludes my report and my slides, and I am happy to answer any additional questions if there are.
Mr. Company, going back to try to get away from the customer service.
Yes.
I think it's very, very important that the person who works in the call center strictly trained in customer service. I would think that's very important.
We are we remain open to any internal collaborations, particularly with Dr. Manning's staff on that. And Dr. Bertrude, I remember you mentioning in the subcommittee meeting that we should look a little more closely at doing it more agency-wide. We are certainly open to that, and we're having some internal discussions about both the classes and if there's ad hoc requests, how to possibly accommodate those. So I'm certainly open to it.
You know, another reason that's a really great idea, Director.
You mentioned that it is internal and external because we are each other's customers inside CAT as well as all of our public facing, and the notion of us all being trained and retrained in those great customer service skills so that we all think about that both in our internal and external interactions is a great thing. So appreciate you all bringing those up.
And my last comment is that I didn't mention some of the more specific ones, but as we go into 2024, there are some classes that we will be mandatorily doing for all employees, like sexual harassment and classes of that nature, where we're going to be setting it up such that everybody, from operators to admin staff, chiefs to supervisors and beyond, will go through that. And that's a request of CEO and some of it. It's also something that I think we need to do, period. So with that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Senator. Appreciate it. Before we leave, I'd like to thank everyone for attending today's first meeting of the new year. I'd like to also thank Kat and our staff for last week's participation in the MLK Day Parade. As usual, you know, transportation is one of the dreams that has come true. So it's up to all of us for improving on the lives for us all. With that being said, I want to look back on the past year that we've had at Chatham Area Transit. Last year, we got new electrical vehicles in. We got training in-house. We have new social media upgrades, thanks to Ariel. And we have new ferries on the rise. We have new legislative goals, new innovations. We have community outreach programs going on, and we have a stable budget. So for me, our goal of making this agency the best pound-for-pound agency on the globe is in our sights. And last but certainly not least, I want us all to put our hands together for our CEO for doing a phenomenal job. If it wasn't for them, we will still be in the dark. But I'm glad we hired this CEO to do a phenomenal job for us, and I look forward to many more great years.
I like the pound for pound.
Oh, yeah.
I like the best pound for pound in the industry. We're gonna start using that.
That's what we're gonna do.
Don't
And
forget
at this
that
time,
all the CEOs in the country are gonna be here next month as a part of the Active CEO seminar and expecting to learn from us. So we look forward, hopefully all board has an opportunity to drop in and we'll get the information out to you about the reception and so forth, and you'll get a chance to come in pound for pound at crowd.
and we'd like to adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Jamie, please. As a next
I got two of these.
Yeah, you do. I'll do it if you want me to. Well, okay.
Where is
Okay, well, listen, so this is a Savannah story here. So my great